Oh, welcome to a very special Sharpe Way show. It is a little bit past 3 p.m. on the East Coast. What, 3 p.m.? It's supposed to be 7. I know it's supposed to be, but today it's 3. It's 3 because we have a very special show with one of our very special guests, the man himself. It is, yes, the man from No Soundbites Allowed, Michael Vass. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Larry, and thank you. It's because of me. It's my suggestion that we're doing it at 3 and not 7. So blame me.
There we go. I like blaming Mike. It makes me feel better about myself.
I know you do.
Yes.
It's a constant.
Yes.
It's like
I got a flat tire. I was like, damn you, Voss. It's all you. Of course, it doesn't matter. No matter what, it is your fault. But today, we are talking about Trump heading over and doing outreach, which, to be forward, many Republicans do very poorly, which is reaching out to the Black community. I think Trump does it better than most Republicans do, right? And people get mad at him for doing it. But when I'm looking at some of his, don't get me wrong, there are some Republicans who reach out to the Black community well, but not many. Most are not good at it. Trump is better than most. And he decided to show up at the National Association of Black Journalists.
well, let's think about this and put it in context.
Go
Trump
ahead.
is one of the things I think it's important. Trump is reaching out to people who are hostile to him. He went to the libertarians. He's
100%.
talking to the Black journalists. He's going places where people who traditionally and even recently hate his guts or at least have animosity towards him. And he is talking to them, whether he's doing it great or not. And notice, we're not seeing that. I'll give RFK, I give him credit. He is also going out to events that don't like him or aren't traditionally going to support him. But other than those two, no one else is showing up to talk to the American people. I think that's important.
You are not wrong at all. I agree with you. I think, and I think that's why I thought this was special. And we have his speech was a speech. His encounter, I'll say that his encounter was about 30 minutes long. We're gonna watch it and kind of comment on what's going on. I think you're gonna like it, and I like it. I think you like it so much because I want you to click the like button. Click the button that is like. I said like, so click the button, damn you. Click that like button. It does matter. And if you want to follow what else Mike is doing, and one of the most popular things he does is his weekend show on Sundays, but you can watch out what he's doing all week long on Rumble at No Soundbites Allowed. The details are in the description on both Facebook and YouTube. All good. If you're watching on Twitter, time to repost this right now. Repost it. All right, here we go. Let's see if
wait. Before we start, I probably should mention I'm a conservative Republican.
Yep.
Larry, of course, isn't. For my audience
Correct.
watching as well, and some people may not know, Larry's a libertarian. We are friends for over a decade now. And
in a while.
Yeah, and I'm sure this will be another one of our more special moments. But just for some people who are wondering where we stand in this whole thing. So, you know.
Yes, to be forward, I will say some good and bad things about Trump, but I'm not going to vote for Trump this year. I didn't vote for him before. I will not. I'm not going to vote for Trump this year. But it doesn't mean I don't have eyes. It doesn't mean I can't express what I still think is true and real. So,
right. And I also, you know, my political commentary. When I think somebody is wrong, I will call them out no matter what their political leaning. But I am going to vote for Trump. So we definitely have two different sides approaching this, which is why I thought it was such a great thing. We have two different points of view approaching this. One that's starting off with pro-Trump, one starting off not voting for Trump. And then we'll see how we see this event. I think it'll be great.
There we go. All righty. Here we go. Let's starting right now.
As journalists, we use opportunities like these both to inform our reporting, but also to help voters understand the choices that they face in a consequential and historic election year. NABJ has partnered with PolitiFact to fact check this conversation in real time. You can access.
Now that actually bothered me.
A lot bothers me right now. I'm already bothered by.
Yes.
I've seen this once before live. something that you may not know, Larry. The reason why this is half an hour and not 1 hour, which is what was agreed to, is because of the technical issues from the NABJ, the National Association of Black Journalists. They screwed up their tech, which killed half the event, and then they came out with this. So that's one thing, just so you know why it's not an hour. 2, she has an attitude. Rachel Scott.
That's what bothers me.
She's got an agenda.
She starts off by saying, I know people didn't want to be. You don't have to say that. That's virtue signaling. And then and we're gonna fact check. Have you fact checked everybody else who showed up there? No.
Did you start off with Kamala? Did you start off with Joe Biden? Were the first words out of your mouth to Obama? We're gonna fact check you. No.
Now look, if that were true, and you and I both know it's not true, but if that were true, I wouldn't be mad at her. She's like, hey, anybody comes on my show, I fact check them live. Okay, then that's fair. You and I both know this was just because Trump. Yeah.
This is, and it's meant, the thing that gets me about this, and you know this as well as I do, Larry, this is meant to imply and put a seed into your mind. This is dishonest. There's untruth here. She's trying to negatively, subliminally, and implicitly put in the idea that this is biased.
This guy's a liar.
Yeah.
This guy's a liar.
That's what she's looking to do.
I want to bring in what Joe said. Joe says, wait, I assume you were both Democrats because you're black.
Yeah, I saw that. He's
Joe,
funny.
you got to realize something. Neither one of us voted for Biden last time. So we lost our black cards. They're gone. We lost them. So we don't get to have them anymore. So sorry about that. We used to be black, but then we didn't vote for Biden, and now we're not. So that should explain your confusion. So
they took away all the mirrors in the house.
They did. They're all gone. Yes.
That feed on social media.
Oh, what happened? Did I lose my internet?
No, it's lagging. We have pissed off the social gods already.
Oh, we said we didn't vote for Biden, and now they're canceling us. Damn it! I shouldn't have said anything. All right,
Two black men talking about elections, and they're like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, it's fine. I'm gonna just quickly reboot it on my computer if I could. So, do me a favor. Talk.
Like that's a hard thing for me. Actually, it's harder because you put me on the spot. I probably would have came up with something to fill it anyway. But yeah, they don't like. And please, folks, this is why it's so important that you like, you share, you subscribe, you be involved. When 2 black men get on and neither of us are Democrats or pushing the approved message, the algorithms go insane. They get pissed at us because it's like, you're not supposed to exist. We can't talk to you people. No one's supposed to see you. You do.
All right, I got it back up now.
It's crazy. Go on.
Here we go.
Again, the hashtag is NABJ fact check. We have a lot to get to, and we do not want to waste any time. So let's bring out the former president of the United States, the Republican nominee for president, former President Donald Trump.
He should have diddy-bopped out. That would have been awesome.
Hey, wait a minute. Stop. Did you notice? There's 3 black women on that stage.
Yep.
All of the hype, all of the memes being pushed out there by Democrats, they make it seem like Rachel Scott was the only person on the stage. That it was just one black woman.
Yes.
They forget that there was 3 people on the stage and an entire audience, almost everybody in the place except Trump is black. But you know, they're not going to mention that. That's something you should keep in mind.
That's not their hero. Their hero is Rachel. So that's who they say, our hero. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time.
She doesn't appreciate crap.
You mean a half hour?
She doesn't. Well, 1 and 2. Listen to her. She doesn't. She
not at all.
So like, I really could care less. You could just go die. That's in her voice.
Actually, I think I think she knew what she was doing. So she might have been like, Mr. President, I'm so happy you're going to give me a chance to virtue signal in front of all my people and then make me a star on MSNBC next week. I thank you so much for doing that for me. Yes.
Let me say up front, I think this was a trap. They knew that they were going to have Trump in. They already announced that they would be hostile to Trump. I mean,
why does Harris show up? Harris is a Fox News contributor.
She's
Harris
a black
actually
journalist.
likes Trump. Why does she show up then if this is a trap? Why doesn't she warn him and say, Mr. President, do my interview and bail? Because he did an interview with her.
Because she's the balance. She's the balance to the stage. She's the contrast to show people. I mean, look at the way they're dressing. She's in red and Rachel's in blue. It's very clear that we're marking off. The whole stage is set up to mark off. Here's our political divisions, so that
and they put the Republican all the way on the opposite
side, as far away with the microphone.
She got a megaphone to yell. Yes,
yeah, because her microphone doesn't work, so they're just screwing her all together. This is a trap.
Start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today.
Why?
You have pushed false claims.
Wait.
Some of your rivals.
Why is it inappropriate? I know I'm stopping a lot, but this beginning is very important. Here's the thing. I think it is.
Okay.
Because she goes, a lot of people, this is the journalists. This is an audience of journalists.
This is what they tease Trump about saying. Trump always goes, I'm hearing lots of people. And she does what they just tease Trump about doing.
Well, here's the thing. Isn't it the job of a journalist? I'm a journalist. I'm a political commentator. I'm a member of the press. Larry, you're a member of the press as well as a political figure. Well, think of this. Our job, my job, ask questions.
Yes.
Whether I like you or not, I ask questions so the public gets an answer. Whether I like it or not, meaningless.
Correct.
I'm here to ask questions. Why in the hell would journalists say, you shouldn't be here, we shouldn't be asking you questions? Then you failed at your job. You're not a journalist. That means you're a propagandist. Get out.
And there's a difference, right? I don't mind somebody having an opinion. And you see it when I do my shows, right? Mm-hmm. If I interview somebody, I do not attack them. I ask questions. I may push them a bit on a question, but you're right. I get the answers out. Then I may do a separate show that says, here is my opinion on what happened, right? I can do that separately.
Fair game.
Different. Yes,
fair game.
100%. All right.
From Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabid to describe Black district attorneys. You've attacked Black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort.
Stop.
So my questions.
Well, go ahead.
So, one, she's manipulating. This isn't a question. These are statements.
Well, that's my point, right? And let me touch this exact point. The way I would have asked, if I wanted to cover this, how I would have asked, I would have thanked him, say, thank you for coming, Mr. President, kind of thing. Oh, great. Then I would have said, look, you and I both know that your critics have said many terrible things. That's how I would have said it. Not saying those things were true. She's saying everything they said was true. That's my problem with this question. She is announcing they're all true, you're wrong, versus going, you know what your critics have said? They have said all these things. Okay, how do you answer that? That is a better way of asking that question if you want to walk down that road. Go ahead.
Well, again, she's seeding the situation. She's basically saying, this is the truth. Now you have to apologize for it. How do you respond to it? That's one aspect of it. But I should mention something that I did cover that I have access to. The dinner where Nick Fuentes
now we're
at a dinner, when he was at the dinner at Mar-a-Lago.
Yep.
I actually have a source who was there, who actually knows how that dinner came about, a direct source in that room.
Yep.
So, and I covered it at the time, and I'll be very clear for people right now. According to my source, who is impeccable and in the room, no one invited Nick into that room. That was because of Jeezy. What's his name? The rapper. Now I'm forgetting his name.
Kanye West?
Kanye West, yes.
Yeah.
Kanye West brought Nick to Mar-a-Lago. Kanye West. Nick was a
I actually heard the same thing. I remember I heard that it was that Trump didn't know he was coming, and that someone brought him. And someone else told me that same thing. I heard that.
I know for a fact, Milo Yiannopoulos and Nick. Milo was involved in getting A couple of people
Yeah,
were involved in
but my
getting.
point, Mike, is I don't want to
Jeezy
get
there.
involved in the details or not. I don't think it matters. The point is, you say, here is what critics have said. We know this.
But she's a liar.
Now,
The way she's framing it is a lie. He didn't have.
That's what I'm saying. You can bring up what someone's critics say, even if they're wrong.
Yes.
But you do it by saying, "I am not saying your critics are correct. I'm saying we all know this is what they say."
This is what's out there. Yeah.
Go ahead and respond to it.
Well, that would be a journalist
Correct.
versus a propagandist. Rachel
Correct.
Scott is being a propagandist, and she's not being honest about it.
100%.
Sir, now that you are asking Black supporters to vote for you, why should Black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
I want her to say that to Kamala. Now that we Americans have seen you lie for years, saying Joe Biden is sharp as a tack, that he's a mental giant, and now we see the truth, which is why you're running for president. And how do you tell the American
I would
people
go back
trust
to the
you?
black part then. I would say, so Kamala, you've basically run away from being black for like 40 years.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden you're Pam Grier. So can you please now tell me why we should believe you, right? For those of you who aren't old enough as Mike and I, you might know who Pam Grier is, but she was very much the black sex symbol in the 70s, maybe even late 60s, but definitely in the 70s, a little bit early 80s. She was definitely the black sex symbol.
Oh,
so
yeah.
anyway, so you're now basically Pam Grier. So tell me, why should we trust you? She would never say that, Mike. Never in a million years.
Which means this is propaganda. Go on.
Correct.
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
This is the part that I liked about this one. Two parts. Trump went right back to his old, everything is the worst ever. Everything is the biggest it's ever been. His hyperbole is the norm. He went right to that. But the part that I thought was funny is, if you listen, people are clapping.
Well, there are some people who are shocked, but he's not wrong. And there are people, again, black people aren't monolithic. Correct. We're not all just Democrats. We don't just do what we're told. There are Republicans and Libertarians and Green Party in that audience as reporters and as citizens. Yeah. And they do recognize he's not wrong. She is incredibly rude and disrespectful to her guest, her interviewee, and a former president. That's absolutely 100%. True.
Yep.
Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network.
So he punches back, of course. What do you always
I think
do?
it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
There's clapping.
Including employment, including opportunity zones.
No, but I was surprised that there was clapping. I assumed that they would fill the entire room with people who hate Trump so they could boo him. That's what I figured. But obviously it was open to the public, I guess, or whatever. And there's actually Trump supporters in the room. That's what I'm surprised.
There are black Republicans who happen to be in journalists as well. And that's why you heard it's the same thing as if we went into any newsroom in America. About 80% are leftists. About another 10% are moderates, which means leftists. And then you have the rest being every other type of political ideology. And that's what you heard. That's why you only heard a couple people clapping. The rest of them are like, well, we hate Republicans. He's evil.
Oh, hold on. Morgan says his use of superlatives bothers me quite a bit. It feeds into the extremists. I agree. I don't like that about Trump. I do not like that he uses hyperbole and superlatives all the time. I can't. It drives me. I'm with Mark on this. I can't stand it. I wish he'd be more like, hey, that was terrible, but he doesn't. He goes right into this is nobody's ever seen anything this terrible before. He goes right into that every time.
That's a matter of style, and everyone has a different style, and that's fine. We're all everybody in politics has huge egos. So does everyone, Hollywood and also the news media. So I'm not worried about that. It does not feed into extremism. If you take it as extremist, stop and reflect on yourself, because while he may have a big ego and it's very indicative of an ego, that's not negative. That's not extreme, nor is it calling for anything to be done. If you're thinking any of those things, that's on you. Stop and reflect on yourself.
I All right. I'm not with you on that one.
With Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. Done so much.
Not wrong.
You know, and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke. And I saved them and I gave them long-term financing and no.
Now, I'm torn on that one because I don't want the government financing anybody. But if you're going to finance them too, yes. But no, I wish the government was financing nobody. But if you're going to, then yes.
Nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said you can't.
Is this why you think it was the ambush, that because of that?
No. It's the way that Rachel, one, it was a hostile environment, and look who they put on the stage to ask questions. Look who they made ask questions first. Look at the choice of the questions she took. So that's the trap. I'm black, I'm a woman, I'm asking racially charged questions that there is no positive answer. There's no way Trump can answer this, no matter what he says, that's going to be good enough or not be plastered across the internet saying that he's a racist. It's a no-win situation.
No, it's a good point, right? So how does he answer a question when they basically say, okay, everybody knows you're a racist, why should we vote for you? Basically is what she said. So how do you respond to that, right? And I think you're right. If you look at some of the more left-leaning podcasts, they have just said, oh, Trump melted down. Trump's the worst. He failed. I think, to be forward, again, look, I'm not supporting Trump. I think he could have done a better answer. I would have had a better answer for this. But I still think, what could he do? What I guess I go back to many times, did his team not prep him for this?
No,
right? When he came to the Libertarian Party convention, he didn't do well. His team did not prep him well, right? Vivek's team prepped him perfectly. Vivek came to the Libertarian Party, he knocked it out of the goddamn park. When RFK did, knocked it out of the park. Both of them got standing O's. We loved it because they came here and said, let me show you where we agree, libertarians. Feed my audience, and the audience loved it. Trump showed up and was like, it's a rally. And people didn't like it. When Trump spoke at the Bitcoin conference last week when I was there, same thing. He made a rally. People were walking out. People were leaving. They were on their phones. I feel like either he doesn't listen, which again, I don't know which one it is, or his team doesn't prep him or some combination because he should have been ready for this.
I think it's a little bit of both because these are lower priority events. He's not trying to win over the Bitcoin crowd. They are a fringe of a fringe. He knows that.
They have millions of dollars, man. Are you nuts?
He's a billionaire. He has tens of millions of dollars. They're not going to make or break the election. They're not. Same thing could be said about and sorry, Larry, to an extent, at the moment, the Libertarian Party, mind you, if they get their act together, put their engine in order, yes, you guys could possibly. RFK stands in that position where he has maybe between 6 and 10% of the polls. If that turns out to election day, he might be able to actually change the election. That's true. So he's not worried about these smaller. He's doing the event to let people know, I'm willing to walk into the lion's den. And the teams, I think, are not, because they know they're walking into lion's den, they know it's not going to change the election. They're not doing 100% here. They're at like 75, 80%. And I think it shows.
They blew the chance, man. This was a mistake. What he should have said is something like, why does it matter they had jobs? You had money. You had jobs. You were happier then. Are you better off 4 years ago? Not then. Why the hell do you care what words I use? That was the appropriate response. Everything you just said is irrelevant. What you just said is virtually because you're privileged, right? You're privileged because you sit up here with your good job in front of people. The average American, the average Black American doesn't have that. And what they care about is, can they pay their bills? That is how I would have counterattacked. And he should have been ready for it. If I was going to say, Trump, you should have had him on your team, Trump. Should have had him on your team. You screwed up.
He's had better answers to these exact same questions, and he's been better prepared for it. I don't know why. He could have been better. It's not a terrible answer because he did answer it. and he did address this, but it's definitely not in his top 10. Like I said, he's firing at about 75-80% of what he can be.
Maybe he's getting too old, Mike. You better start looking for somebody younger.
You know what? If he is, and if this is the first indication, fantastic. Now we have a warning. And I would say, just
that was
like
a good
I did
answer,
about
Mike.
Joe
I
Biden,
was messing with
out.
you, and you gave me a good answer. That was good. That was good. I like it.
My point is, if you're not capable of the job, get out.
Okay. Good answer. I was totally messing with you, but good answer.
Do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something
Mr.
was
President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
if you
it's
could
a
answer
very
this is Trump smacking back.
I have answered the question.
Yep.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham
That's my
Lincoln.
answer.
Better than President Johnson.
Okay. Hold it. We know.
Abraham
No,
Lincoln.
he's not. He's been a good president. He's been a good president for all Americans and the world. He's helped to stabilize the world. He's helped to improve the economy. He's been a good president. He's not.
I'm not ready to say
Abraham
all that,
Lincoln.
but that's fine.
No, you don't have to. That's my opinion of it.
Yes,
I'm not
okay.
saying- okay, but so he went there. But I think now that I'm thinking about this, because I've only seen it all the way through once. I think part of this is he's now so pissed off at Rachel. She got under his skin to an extent.
Yeah.
And
That's
at
true.
this point, I think he's looking at barbs just to smack her with when he's talking to her. He's more concerned about, I want to smack you rather than per se having the best
It goes
answer.
back to Morgan's point, right? His hyperbole. You're going to bring up Lincoln. Like, don't bring up Lincoln. Just say you were a good president of black people. It's fine. You don't have to go.
Come on.
It's the guy who
Come on.
freed the slaves. You don't gotta say that.
Every president and every candidate running for presidency tries to compare themselves to the classic named presidents. There's 5 presidents that everybody in America knows, and everybody who runs for an election says that they are like one of those 5, if not all of them. That's standard. I don't care. I don't care.
It's a pattern. And Morgan's right. It's a pattern. That's all I'm saying.
Especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment
That's
to
the
work
good smack.
in such a hostile
get your
manner. I
equipment
think
to
it's a disgrace. I
Let
really
me
do.
let
I
me
think
just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own
I'm not done attacking you.
on Capitol Hill have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is
Yeah, there we go. So you're right. That attack didn't land well enough. I got to back up. I got another one ready.
Everyone
case
shut up.
Yeah.
I'm ABC News, and I'm going to attack him. Propaganda queen. Rachel,
100%.
hashtag Rachel Scott, propaganda queen.
There we go.
the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket as a DEI hire. Is
Stop.
that acceptable language?
Stop.
What?
Black. I've spent some time trying to explain this on my channel. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. Kamala is Black. She's not African American. Do you agree with me on that, Larry?
100%.
Okay. So
She is not a descendant of slaves. Neither was Obama.
Mhm.
Correct.
And would you agree with me that in the Black community, it's understood there's a Black is your racial type. It's our skin tone. You're descended from Africans or Africa, that region.
Yep.
An African American is a social and cultural aspect
100%.
only in America. So
Correct.
And they are complete. But in America, the media, it makes it synonymous. When we say Black, we mean African American. They're interchangeable. But that's not true anywhere else in the world or for anyone else.
But not
from
just
other
that.
parts.
I will go one step further. That I think a lot of people and people watching and listening, most of the people watching listening are not Black, and they're not going to understand that within the Black community, there is a difference between somebody who comes from Nigeria and someone who comes from Brooklyn. Like there are differences, and internally we see even between. And I bring this up sometimes. My difference in my issues. I wasn't raised by a Black mother. Right, being raised by a Black mother is also different, right, than being raised just in a Black family.
Right.
I was raised by a Black father, but not by a black mother. Kamala Harris was raised by neither. Her father was not in her life.
Yeah.
Barack Obama was raised by neither. His father was not in his life. Wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
They were both raised by, Obama was raised by a white mother and Kamala was raised by an Indian mother. In fact, Kamala was raised in Canada.
Yeah.
While they are black, that's true. All are black. Everyone we just talked about are black. That's accurate. But to your point, are they actually African Americans?
No, I absolutely not. They're not. When we think, and again, what is the common understanding of that? You go to the Bronx, you go to Chicago, you go to Boston, LA. We understand. And you ask people there, you ask Jamaicans anywhere in America, are they African American? They will tell you no.
No.
If you say black as in context to the American way of using the word, as in black equals African American, they'll tell you no.
Yeah.
If you ask them if they're African, they'll say, yeah. Historically, heritage, yes.
Or they'll say they're West Indian, or they'll say they're Jamaican, or something like that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
They'll make a distinction.
So Rachel Scott here, is being absolutely disingenuous. This is the trap. This was the one. The first one was the setup to get ready. This was her little tease. Now she's going for the meat and potatoes, saying, but you called her. And this is going to be, this is a big deal because of the way Trump answers it. He's not entirely wrong. But I think we have to have in context in our head, understanding Kamala is black, not African American. Rachel Scott and everyone in that room, every journalist there knows this.
Correct.
And they know this is dishonest. This is disingenuous.
And they will purposely not say it so that white America, Hispanic America, Asian America will not hear it on purpose.
Yeah.
To you, and will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you
again, another question that says, you smack your wife. Do you think that abuse is bad? It's one of those kind of questions.
And will you tell other people who smack their wives to stop it?
Yeah,
that's what you said. Yes. But here's the point. I'm going to be this may get me in trouble, but there's no doubt that she was. Literally, Biden said it. Biden said, I'm going to pick a black woman running mate. He said so. It's not like Biden.
Yeah, but that means by the second he says, I'm only going to pick a black woman who happens to be a Democrat, then you have excluded the universe other than that. That means you cannot say, I have the best person. You have the best person with these filters. Therefore, you are doing DEI. You are being exclusionary. You are promoting a lesser person, or at least an arguably lesser person, and elevating them because of their checkbox. That is Kamala by definition.
And that's the problem. He should have literally said to her, I'm sorry, didn't Biden say he was going to pick only a black woman running mate? That's the response.
That should have been his answer.
Didn't he say that? Or did I make a mistake, or did he say that? She will hem and haw and go, that's not your point. That's what she'll do. Mm-hmm. Then respond, no, please. Did he not say that? No, he said that. So ask him if it was a DEI pick. He said that. That I think is the issue. Now, I think is what you hear me all the time. When I attack the right, I go further right. When I attack the left, I go further left.
Okay.
So you're attacking me on DEI on the left? No. You're the DEI person, not me. You did it, not me. He said it. He's the one who does it, not me. And I think, so maybe you should ask him to stop doing DEI and saying that. Oh, wait, no, he did it for SCOTUS too. Oh, wait a minute. He did it twice.
Yes, he did.
Maybe he is a DEI president.
He is a DEI president. Yeah, and it should be pointed out because, again, but everyone's afraid or they get emotional. And the trick is Rachel is very smart. She's not a stupid woman. She got him emotional. She got him riled up. She jumped into this before he could get comfortable and get his pace behind him.
And made him wait, all pissed off. He's all waited and pissed off because he had to wait for 20 minutes. Yep.
Exactly. So he's completely off his kilter. People who don't know about doing these events, you have an ebb and flow to this. And
course.
when you get prepared and then you get shut down, now you throws off all your rhythm and your pace and your mental state, and that affects the way you answer. She knows this. She's taking advantage of this, and now she's throwing this out here, knowing that she's got him agitated, knowing this is a very racial. She's racialized the entire event at this point, and there is no proper answer, because whatever he says, she knows. ABC, NBC, all the major news media are waiting to cut down to one word
100%.
if they need to, whatever he says, to say he's a racist. She knows it. This is the trap. This is the trap closing.
All right, let's see how he handles it.
Define DEI. Go ahead. How do you define
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Is that what your definition?
That is
Give me a
literally the
definition
words
then. Would you give me a definition
DEI.
of that? Give me a definition.
Sir,
of
I'm
that.
asking you a question,
No,
a
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
Answer the question.
Define it for me if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do
No,
you
you did
believe
not. No, you did not. You liar. No, you didn't define that damn thing.
No, she did. He fucked this up, man.
No, she didn't define it.
And he should have been ready for this question. He screwed this up. Your boy screwed this one up. He should.
I'm not saying he didn't. Yes, he could have answered this better, but at the same time, she's a liar. Yes, she said the words. She just kept repeating the words. DEI, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI. That's not a definition. You can't define something by saying it again. She's a liar. And again, she knows what she's doing. She's smart enough. She's experienced enough. She knows what she's doing. She's avoiding this because if she gave a definition, then he'd have his escape clause.
I think he's always on your side here. He says, you can't define a thing with the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she knows it. Now, mind you, you're right, Larry. His best answer is exactly what you said. But the second best answer is no, define it. Obviously, either you don't know what you're talking about or you're afraid to tell people the truth of what it is you're speaking about. It's one or the other.
There we go. All right.
The ticket because she is a black woman.
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn
knew she was black. Now, come on.
She wants to be known as black. So I don't know. Is she
He's
Indian
not wrong,
or
though.
is she black?
She is always
But you know
identified
what?
as a black woman. She went to a
That's a lie.
college.
I respect
She's not
either
always
one,
done that.
but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I think-
believe
I
that
think
she is
so.
Right.
Up
until 2016.
I love the way he says it.
I know.
Like, it's such a he's almost 80 because only someone like that would go, now she's a black person. Like only someone like him would say
He's
that.
antagonizing her. He's
It's
antagonizing
true. No,
her
he
on
is.
purpose.
He's trying to, and the funny thing is, I think he did get her. Like she is
Oh,
now
yeah.
starting to become annoyed. Like she's like, damn, my traps aren't working. Like
It did work, but he's getting her as good as she got him. But you notice, and this is where, and this whole thing, why it's so important we've stopped several times, because this whole thing is the meme that we have seen afterwards that says, oh my God, Trump's attacking a black woman. No, he's responding to this black woman attacking him. There is a massive chasm of difference. Trump didn't start off going, let me go and insult you and be a racist. No, she said, I'm going to attack Trump and be a racist. And he's responding in kind. I think that's big.
You should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really
have
don't
said?
know. I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and
He's being diplomatic.
I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length.
Yeah, and this is his out.
Great interview, I think.
Yes, and that was well done. Like that when he did, I was like, "That's good." He was sitting there going, nothing's happening." Ooh, Harris, there we go. There's my life preserver. Yes,
this is my out. This is the end of this subject.
Yes, Harris, like, I got you. Here we go.
And it's also a good point to also remind people this isn't a one-on-one interview. There are other people here, and he's not. There are other black people who don't have Rachel Scott's opinion.
Yeah. Yes.
So he's smart.
Well, you told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about why you're here today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we were divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of, in this moment where we are, why come here? What is your message to?
Now, that is the way to ask the question.
Yes.
She's saying, look, we're not blind here. We know that there are issues. We know that people think you're a racist. We know that people think that. There are a group of people who believe that and a group who don't believe that. We know this is true. You're here. Why? That is a much better way of asking the question than what the first woman said. That's 25 times better. And it still acknowledges what people think and what people feel.
And it gives her, as a journalist, as an interviewer, she can turn and pivot this any way she wants to, depending on his answer. She can go anywhere with this question because it's open enough. And one of the tricks of having a great interview, something a lot of people don't realize, it's allowing the other person to answer.
Yes.
To let them, you've put them in the ballpark. Now, where they go is up to them. If I've asked the question properly, you're going to go where you naturally think. I can then follow up and get more detailed, but I get to understand you. That's what she just did. She put him in the ballpark and saying, okay, where are you going to go with this? So she can follow up and get more details rather than what we saw with Rachel, which is, I'm putting you in a hole. You can't go anywhere. This is the only thing.
Right. Absolutely.
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming
not wrong.
from the border,
No kidding, yeah.
are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job.
Why? You see, that there something that bothered me on this.
Yeah.
Trump made a huge mistake. She threw him a softball.
Kind of.
And he wanted to get off of the race thing.
Yes.
Because of what the first woman had done to him. So he went to immigration. This was not the space to go to immigration. This was his time to go to American Dream.
I don't agree.
This was his time to go American Dream. He should have gone American Dream for the black family, inflation. He should have walked down that road immediately.
The black middle class. He could have done that.
That's where he should have gone right away. But he was so pissed off from the first woman that when he got the softball from Harris, he screwed up and said, I want out. And he went immigration.
No, that's not the answer. He's actually very smart. And I'll tell you why. Because immigration is one, depending on how the polling you want to go to, it's within either 1, 2, or 3 top issue in America for everyone, including black people. And that's just a fact. So when he pivots to that,
you're not at the National Association of Everybody Journalists. You're at the National of Black Journalists.
Yes, and black journalists, the black community is concerned about immigration everywhere because it's affecting the big cities, New York, Chicago, Detroit, Boston, LA. The infrastructure is breaking down there because they're trying to deal with illegal aliens. And so immigration is important.
Hold on. Second piece then. She says, what's a black job? Now, that bothers me because
I don't like
you know what a black job is. A black job is one that's in the industries that are heavily black, like transit, security, healthcare. These are heavily, there are more black people in those jobs than any other race. That's where they are. That's true. We know this. You just check. A Google search would show you this. Not like you have to, have an entire policy to figure this out. Not just that. Black jobs are where the black population is, which means jobs in, generally speaking, urban areas.
Yeah, but I go with more
suburbans, but it's even there. So we know what it is. So she's doing that because she hears black. So therefore, by default, it's racist. By default, Trump's a bad guy. Instead of just going, I know what it is.
Well, she's trying to make it racial, but I agree with Morgan Dow. He's got a great answer. And this is my answer. What is a black job? Show Morgan's answer there.
A job held by a black person?
Period. Full stop. That's it. An American who happens to be black has a job. That's a black job. Full stop. Done. But they want to make it racial. Again, This is why it's about, this is a whole trap. They're trying to make this as racial as possible, no matter what Trump says, no matter how he answers. And by the way, it's not like Democrats have never referred to things that affect the black community.
I'm going to go with Janice is right. Morgan is too generic for politics. Janice is correct. Black jobs where black population is. That's the point I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. But I'm trying to get away from
policies that'll make that work.
Yes, but and Janice isn't wrong. You're not wrong. I'm saying in terms of the politics, in terms of the election, because that's what this is all about. This is what the propaganda battle is about. The answer is it's about Americans. Black jobs are American jobs, period.
Yes.
That's the political answer. Now, to be more direct, yes, you and Janice are absolutely correct. If we're looking at the data, the empirical, I agree with you 110%.
Yes.
But that's not what the public.
I don't want the guy who's working in the small, store or the small retail establishment or the small marketing company in a black neighborhood to be someone who comes in from another neighborhood who's Hispanic, Asian, or white.
I don't care about that.
Not that they shouldn't, but if it's local, you want to try to support more local people in local jobs to the best of your ability. Now, if you're not doing that, something's wrong.
Well, that's the choice of the local community. And 9 out of 10, if the business is halfway decent, they will. If it's not, they won't. And it's not a question of.
Come on, brother. You live in the Bronx.
I do.
You know I was in the Bronx, and you've seen it. You've watched it change. You go back 30 years ago, and local person owns local business with local people in it. You look now, at least half, if not more, are franchised by some guy who owns it in Connecticut or Jersey, and he brought in from freaking Minnesota. I mean, come on.
I'm always in favor of local jobs.
Thank you.
Well, that's not what I'm saying, though. I'm saying
you just said you didn't care, and I'm saying it doesn't matter. I'm saying I don't care who owns the local job. If they're black, Arab, white, Hispanic, Chinese, I could care less. If they own it, and whether they're immediately in my community or not, I don't care if you live in Queens and you own a bodega in the Bronx. I don't care. I don't care if you happen to be Laotian and you own a nail salon or you own a barbershop or a pizza shop. I don't care. That's not important. Is the quality good? That's what I want to put. Too many people focus on this idea. But
you know what? Black movies. You know what? Some of the black movies out there are absolute dog trash. And people go, but it's black, so you have to support it. No, I don't. I want quality.
No.
Give me the quality
that's
first.
not what I'm saying. You're going off on like the world, and I'm not disagreeing with you on the world. Okay. I'm talking about in black communities. I want black-owned businesses. I would prefer them to be black-owned and black-run and with black customers. Now, it has to be, but we should be looking at it. If we have a community, say, again, I'm using the Bronx because we both know the Bronx. If you have an area that's heavily black and every local place is owned by somebody who doesn't live there, that's a policy issue. Somehow government's stopping that. That's not natural.
That isn't natural.
Correct.
I'm agreeing with you that it's not natural.
Should be doing something.
Yeah, correct. It should be a higher majority. Correct. A majority and a higher majority of people that represent that neighborhood, whether or not they're immediately right there, they should be more of the small business. But small businesses are dying across the country.
Which is a policy issue. And the one person who says this, Trump brings up black businesses, which is great, but so does Bobby Kennedy. And Bobby Kennedy brings up the idea that when the lockdowns happened, there was something like millions of black businesses that were shut down. Over half will never return. That's the highest. That's the highest based upon race that there is in the entire country. Black businesses were affected the most by lockdowns.
Absolutely.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Okay.
And I think the Democrats are saying nothing about it. Nothing, like it never happened. Trump at least is bringing it up. I'll give him credit for that. I think Kennedy has a better talking point on it, though.
Fair enough. Fair enough on that.
No. All right.
That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr.
they're taking the employment away from black people. They're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. I have a feeling it's much more than that. Mm-hmm. And everybody's been seeing what's happened.
21 million, you said.
The first group of people, the black population.
Everyone has a different number.
Most by that. And Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world. There's never been a border czar like this. She's never even essentially been. She said she was there once, but.
All right. Do you agree with me? Like Axios at one point agreed with me. Kamala Harris is a border czar.
100%. No
She's
doubt.
in charge of the southern border.
She just ran away from that shit. Absolutely, it's true. 100% true.
And
She's just.
And the media are just like, no, we've got to protect Kamala. She had no responsibility whatsoever. She didn't
even know where the border was.
Yeah.
What's the border? She had no idea. Nothing. Exactly.
No, she's absolutely responsible, and it is her fault because buck stops with her.
I want to be clear. It may not be her fault. I don't know. She may not be responsible, but it doesn't matter even if she just blew it off. She was named it. She had the title. It was her choice to do something or not. If it was in theory, and I don't know that it was a fake title to make her feel good, that's her fault for taking it.
Yeah.
She should have said, no, I'm not the border czar because I can't do anything about it. No, I'm not. But she took it. And if the border would have somehow magically become awesome, she'd have taken all the credit for it. She'd been like, oh, I'm the one who fixed everything. I'm amazing. So you know what? If you'd have taken the credit for it, now take the fall for it. The border's a disaster. It's your fault. I don't care if you did it or not. You got to live with that shit.
Well, look, she's so dishonest. Look what's happening now with Germany. Oh, we got back, which was a whole other story about Americans, the American prisoners from Russia, prisoners swap. And
4 back or something like that? 3 or 4 back?
Yeah. We got 3-4 back, and it's a horrible deal. It was done purely for politics to get the election for Democrats. It's a win for them, the first one they've got in 3.5 years. But the thing that's really interesting is now they're talking about, and by the way, Kamala was involved in this. No, she wasn't. Yeah, she was having conversations in the background with the German chancellor. No, she wasn't. Because no one in the universe, including in Germany, even hinted that the German chancellor was talking to anyone in America other than the president, that he was not talking to Kamala. And by the way, she has screwed up every international.
Let's go back to this. You're gonna yell on Kamala for 6 years. Let me jump back to this. Let me jump on this.
Okay.
Not the right part of the border. So she was a border czar. She's done a horrible job. These people are coming into our country and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs. And frankly, they're taking union jobs. Unions are being very badly affected by all of the millions of people that are pouring into our country. And one thing, as we discussed, many of these people are coming in from mental institutions, from prisons, from jails. They're gang members in other countries. Other countries are setting loose their prisoners. They're opening up their prisons and their mental institutions, and they're taking their bad people, drug dealers, gang members, and they're bringing them into the United States. And by the way, their crime rate is going down, and our crime rate is going to be a disaster.
Not entirely because of that, but yes.
Yeah, and the thing that gets me is, I want to be clear on this. As everyone knows, I am not anti-migrant at all. I never have been.
Illegal.
I am
illegal.
I don't care about that. As long as
I know you don't. I do. There's a difference.
Agreed.
And I hate when people say it's not all the same. Legal and illegal. Legal.
What I'm saying here, though, is
I'm not.
You bring 200,000 people into New York City, which is what we did, with no plan. Man, is it going to be a disaster, right? Number
Especially
two,
when they're criminals.
That's my next point. Let's assume that people say, look, 99% are good. Okay, I'm going to agree with you. 99% are good. Fine. But I'm going to give the people the benefit of the doubt. 90% are good. Okay, great. Only 1% are bad. That's 2,000 criminals. So even if you're right and it's 99% are good and just 1% are bad, okay, I will give you that. I still just put 2,000 criminals into New York City. The vast majority of New York City crime right now is perpetrated by less than 500 people.
Well, I saw actually New York Post editorial board last month, end of last month, came out. The recidivism rate, depending on it, two different groups, people who are violent criminals and nonviolent. Nonviolent criminals, 12%. Violent criminals, 66%.
Yes, that's my
instead of
point. They're repeat
creating it.
offenders.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the
Yes.
thing. You're absolutely right. People who do violent crime, criminals, real hardcore criminals, massively repeating, sometimes
Yes.
up to 15 times,
Yes.
repeating crime after crime after crime.
So even if it's only 1%, I'm gonna just 1%. I just put 2,000 violent criminals into my city who will be repeat offenders.
Mhm.
Wow, holy cow, that's a problem. And
That's a
what's
big
happening
problem.
now, though, is Tom brings up a point. Crime rates are down, so that's a lie, though. Also, crime
No.
rates actually aren't down.
Right.
Violent crime, depending upon the city, is down. That's true. But other crimes are up. In fact, in New York City, you may not know this, New York City, rape is actually up.
Yeah.
Other, like murder, is actually down. Murder is down. And it depends on what you're looking at. Are you looking at it compared to 2019 or 2020?
Big
2020
difference.
was disaster because of the lockdowns and everything. So compared to 2020, a lot is down. That's true. The question is,
From
it
the
down
peak.
compared to 20? Correct.
The media
From the
doesn't
peak.
say from the peak, because we are
Correct.
way above. We're about 25, depending on, again, looking at the different statistics, we're somewhere between 25 and 45% above the 2013 to 2019 trend.
Yes. Correct.
But we're down roughly about 30% from the 2020 peak. So
Correct.
it's the numbers are very fugazi there.
And Tom, that's the point I wanted to bring up. Yes, you're right. We are down from the peak in 2020. That is true. But I try to measure our crime rates and everything from 2019, right?
Mhm.
That's what I look at.
That's
are we
the norm.
down from 2019? Because that's where we were. And I like your idea. If you see the average 2013 to 2019, I didn't do that. I go to 2019, but that average is even better, right? That's even a better average. But I look at it even from our ridership on our subways.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're up from 2020. Yes, but down from 2019.
Yeah.
Right?
And the funny thing is, the people who know this are the media. They have this
Correct.
data is coming from the government and independent studies. The media has it. If I have it, I'm just one guy. ABC News has about 10,000 employees, and they make tens of millions of dollars. I'm one guy. If I can research and find this data and present it to the public and have the links for the public to see, they can do this in one infinitesimal amount of time. They can do it instantly compared to me.
Yes.
They don't want to do it. They don't want the public to know. And that's why we get people like Rachel Scott doing little propaganda runs like this, because they're playing games with us.
Yes. Janice asked a question, is America still the melting pot? You know what? I have never called it a melting pot. I've actually called it a wonderful quilt, because I think a quilt is better because it allows us to still be ourselves, but all be one thing. So I like the quilt analogy better. That's just me. I don't want us melting into one. I want us staying individual, but still being great altogether.
I
like
disagree.
that.
I disagree.
I know.
No, and
I like it better.
if we do not have a unified core value, then we're just a bunch of people in the same space. We're not. There's no
What's wrong with
unity.
that?
Well, then you get division. You don't have a nation. Nations are unified on a purpose and a core. And you can be an individual in that, but if you don't have a shared commonality, a shared belief,
and I'm with
then,
you on that.
then you don't have that. Then you don't have.
And what I think we've had, and this is what I think we've lost, is the idea of civics. Right?
Yeah.
Civics used to keep us together. It didn't matter whether you grew up in Iowa or whether you grew up in New York. It didn't matter. You understood what the Constitution was. You understood what the three branches of government was. You understood what our founding fathers did, right? You understood all those things. I think that's gone away. I think most Americans today couldn't name the three branches of government. I think most Americans today don't know the difference between the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. I think most Americans today don't have any idea of what it is to be American. I think that is one of our biggest issues, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'll go back to, there was a historian years ago who said one of the major reasons why the Roman Empire fell is because people forgot what it meant to be Roman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a similar thing. Like the Roman Empire brought a lot of people in, but they were all based upon the ideas of what it was to be Roman, the values of the Roman Empire, right? So people coming from Spain, right?
They had that core value. They had a
the core values. Yes. Yes, and I think that has gone away.
Yeah.
Anyway, way of topic. Let's let Trump talk.
Okay.
President, I want to get into how you address some of the issues with Black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same.
Sure.
It's not monolithic.
Sure.
So as you come here today, I want to talk about something that bursts, and this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now. The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 52% rise in people who are seeking counseling.
See, hold on. This is my point. See, she knows what I'm talking about. She gave him a softball. He went to immigration instead of American Dream. She said, no, dude, American Dream. So she literally set him up. See?
For being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble.
I see it everywhere, man.
Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single Black moms. When you look
Very true.
statistically, how do you turn it around? What's your plan for the Black community when it comes to money?
Now, before we go there, I'm going to tell you, I got my ass kicked in 2008 crash badly, but it didn't hit me till 2010. That's when I actually collapsed. Like the pain was starting to hit me late 2008. I really felt 2009. By 2010, I was finished. I think we're having that now from the lockdowns. The lockdowns really hit people 2023, 2022, because that's when Uncle Joe shut the money off. And now all of a sudden, I think people are starting to feel it. And I think that's one part. Inflation now is coming back from the money we spent. And the lockdowns, both of those two things are helping with the inflation, obviously to be horrible. And now Uncle Joe's not writing the checks everybody. We're not getting stimmy checks anymore. And I think those two things together are now starting to get people, we're starting to see it. I feel like this in my view, is the fallout from the 2 years of lockdown. What do you think?
We're in a recession. We've been in a recession since August of 2022, when they changed the definition of the word recession so that it wouldn't affect the 2022 midterm elections. They know this. It's very obvious before us, which is why we now have unemployment. Did you see the news data today? Unemployment, 4.3%.
Oh, yeah, it's going to do this. You're going to see it.
It's just jumping. We are in, and I love these people talking, no, but you don't understand Bidenomics. The economy is so much better than you think it is. I went to the grocery store yesterday. Things cost me 40% more than what they were costing me 2 years ago. We're in a recession. Okay. 100%. No two ways about that. You may want to argue about how we got there, how long it's going to last, the exact start date. That's up to, we can debate that, but we're in a recession. And it's not going to end anytime soon.
No, I agree.
And we are nowhere near the bottom of the end of this. I think we're pretty close to the middle.
I would not be surprised if the unemployment rate jumps over 10% in the next 6 months.
I wouldn't say that.
Surprise me.
I would be. I could see interest rates going to about 7%. I could see unemployment getting close to probably about 6%. I absolutely believe no matter who is president, and we will go through all of the year 2025. I don't care who's president. There's going to be a recession. We will still be in there. Depending on who it is, though, they will change the wording and they'll call it a recession.
Something else.
Yeah.
100%.
So, first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment. Because I guess, this woman is unable to get the right equipment.
It's
very hard for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word.
Because he's pissed at her.
It's very difficult, actually.
I'm not mad at him for it.
So
I'm not.
I don't know
She deserved it. She walked into it.
With it, but I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation is a disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at a lot of things they don't include, like interest rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%, and you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people young black people.
This one he's
they
easy.
don't
Got
have
this
the
one.
American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money. They can't buy it because of the cost of housing, because of the
This
cost
is why.
because of
This
inflation.
is why they're making
Inflation
it racial.
is a disaster, and it's destroying our country, and it's destroying the black community
Yes.
probably as much or
So what do
more
you do?
than any
What's
other.
your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy. and
That's a good
to bring down the cost
push
of
on her.
inflation. This was all
Yes.
started
Challenge
with
him.
bad energy policy by
Harris did something. Now, look, I know Harris likes Trump. I know.
Yeah.
But she's still, this is what,
Doing her
to your
job.
point earlier. Yes, to your point perfectly. She didn't let him slide, right? She said, look, tell me what's going on. Okay, now, how? That was a perfectly valid question.
Let him get his little propaganda. And yes, this is the environment. We agree with you. And then what? And
Yeah.
you know, it's not a big push. She could have made it harder, maybe, but she didn't have to. The point's been made.
100%.
Joe Biden. By the way, just if I might, I was running against a man named Biden. You probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls. And then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was
Not
one
wrong.
of the worst debates
true.
in history. And his poll numbers crashed.
See? Worst debate in history. Why do you have to go there, Mike? Your boy
What?
loves going to this damn hyperbole. That's the worst debate in history. Come on.
That is his nature. Look, we have, again, everybody in politics is an egomaniac and a megalomaniac. That is a fact. That's the only reason why you get in politics.
You know I
Same
run
thing
for
for
office. I'm
everyone.
literally wearing my Larry Sharpe governor shirt. And you're going, oh, you people are megalomaniacs. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so what? I love you anyway. And I'm a megalomaniac too. I don't care.
We're all
That's why
good.
we're in politics.
That's right. You ran for office too, you megalomaniac. Thank
Yes,
you.
I did. And yes, I am.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I mean, and I say that obviously a bit tongue in cheek, but we're individuals who want power. We have a strong authority level and presentation, and we express that in different ways. So, yeah, I'm good enough to be the leader. I'm the best person in the room to be the leader. And to an extent, you have to say that in politics.
I think you're right.
Otherwise, you won't get voted
point.
for. No one wants set
Yeah,
number
but
two or the
saying,
milquetoast
you
to
know,
run
let's keep
anything.
going, and maybe something happens the other way. They said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him. That's like you're in a fight. A prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing where you say, let's bring in another fighter.
Isn't that wrong?
So our whole campaign was steered toward him, and now we have to steer toward him. But ultimately, it's the same because they have bad policy. They have policies of open borders, unbelievable open borders, horrible energy policies. They want to get rid of, as you say, gasoline in cars. They want to get rid of oil. They want to get rid of efficient heating.
Mr. President.
Environmentally, what they're doing is killing our country. They're absolutely destroying our country. But the inflation is the thing that's hurting the black worker, the black population, and every other population within
Not wrong.
our country. Inflation is the worst it's been, I think, in over 100 years. And they'll fact check it. They'll say it's only 58. Whatever it may be, they don't add all the numbers. They don't add the really bad numbers, and you can check that too. But inflation, Harris, is absolutely destroying this country and the people in our country. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I want to bring up a point that Robert brings up, that we were talking about this earlier.
Oh, go
He says, it can't be missed that Kamala is a descendant of one of the best performing groups economically, East Indians. And as a foreign-born black immigrant group that's used as better blacks. This is a real
Yeah.
thing. I mean,
That
he's
does
not
happen.
making this up.
No,
Go ahead.
I've heard that before, and they have been used as that example before. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So thanks for that, Robert.
President, can I ask you another question
Yes,
that is
and-
also impacting Black Americans?
And that's very clear now. Good.
I'm sorry?
It's very clear. I hear you.
Okay.
Put it,
so
yeah,
Sarah
two out of,
Palin,
notice.
Only Harris you can't hear.
Yeah.
Only, that's
She's
amazing.
in red. She's a Republican.
Yes.
See, that's
Yes.
the cue to the audio guy. The girl in the red, yeah, kill her feed.
Killer Mike.
Yeah.
That's great.
someone from Illinois, an unarmed Black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You've said police would get immunity from prosecution if you win. Why should
No.
someone like that officer have immunity? In
He
your
doesn't.
Immunity?
That's why he got arrested.
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something.
Should have mentioned that.
Yeah, again, this is his team's fault.
Well, one,
You
that's
are
a very
coming to-
vague
No,
suggestion of the case.
He doesn't have to know this personally as the president, of course not. But someone in his team should have been like, hey, you're going to a black journalist forum. There was just a shooting of a black woman. Let me brief you. That's his team dropped the ball in this complete. I don't expect Trump to watch every freaking piece of news. Of course not. But his team dropped the ball on this. They should have been like, let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you what you got to say on this.
He shouldn't have to answer
it.
that specific case. We've seen enough of these cases. There is an answer. One, I don't know, and I don't know the shooting she's talking about either.
I know it very detailed.
Okay. Going by what she has said, here's the answer. One, the cop isn't immune. He's arrested. Immunity does not cover breaking violence to break the law, murder, attempted murder. It doesn't protect you from that. It protects you from the miscellaneous nonsense lawsuits.
And that's the point he didn't say. He dropped the ball on this one. Why didn't he say that? He didn't say that. What he said is, I don't know that they, no, what you said is a good answer. No, he's not going to get it because of this, not because of that. That's the right answer. But he didn't say that. He's just like,
he's trying to figure out what case it is. And I think he's also, remember, look in the environment he's in. Look who's right next to her. ABC, a hostile attack. I think he's thinking this is a prep for an attack, that he's about to get politically attacked.
It is.
And that this is another racial trap. And he's trying to prepare himself for that. That's what I would think on that same stage. You're trying to set me up for something. And I don't know how to answer that. Here's my biggest
issue. And you said this earlier, and I think this is a mistake, dude.
Okay.
You said, well, he's not taking this that seriously, blah, blah. This was his time. Sure. He should have taken this extra seriously. Because there are people who are watching, like you and me, where people are talking about it. Mm-hmm. He had the opportunity. There are not as many black women, but you know this, brother. There are so many black men who are on the fence about voting for Trump. Literally millions. Literally millions of black men who are on the border. Do I vote Trump or not? Right? Millions of them. This was a chance for him to pick up a whole lot of them.
He's going to pick them up anyway. He's going to pick them up anyway because there is no one else for them to go to.
Not true.
He is the best choice. Or they're not going to vote at all. But
people are giving money to, believe it or not, I know you hate this, but people are giving money to Cornel West. And there's a whole lot of black men who are giving money to Cornel West. He is raising money. People are giving millions to Bobby Kennedy Jr. You know, I know that specifically. It is happening.
Yes.
This is happening. So there is a place to go.
Those are fringe numbers realistically. The majority are either going to, and I don't want to diminish, and let me be fair. I don't want to diminish Dr. Cornel West. I don't want to diminish RFK or any alternative candidate. I want more candidates. I want the best to be in charge, regardless of party color, I don't care what the criteria is. I want the best. But at the same time, I'm a realist. And realistically, they're not winning. They may have influence.
Yes, but hold on. You said it earlier. You said RFK Jr. probably has about 6 to 8% of the vote.
6 to 10.
That literally could affect this election.
Yes.
Those millions of black men who are on the border voting for Trump or not, they could affect the election. Particularly places like Michigan. Oh my God, they could turn the election.
Not in Michigan, no, but in some states, yes. Not in Michigan.
If you had 100,000 black men vote Trump in Michigan, that could turn Michigan for Trump.
No, but Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, we already know what the number is in Michigan, 101,000. That's the number that's pivotal in Michigan. We found that out during the primaries. 101,000 Arabic
and you don't know if those Arabs show up or don't show up or vote Trump or hold their nose and vote Kamala anyway.
Yes,
I do. Don't know.
They will not vote for Trump. They may or may not show up depending on what Kamala promises them and whether or not Kamala backs Hamas, the terrorist organization.
And that's my point with the black voters.
That's not
the black voters can make up for all that.
I don't think so. No,
right.
I don't think that's. We've
I
already
think
seen them
he and
in
his
that
team
boat.
walked into this not prepared, and they had an opportunity to put this out of the park.
I agree
Harris
with you.
knew it.
They
That's
could do
why
better.
Harris threw those balls at him. She threw 2 softballs because she knew it. And him and his team, and I'm not going to blame him as much because he's him, but his team screwed him over.
He
His
could have
team
been
screwed
better.
him
Yeah,
over.
I
Yes.
said it. I agreed with you from the beginning. He could be better prepared. He could have taken this more serious.
Yep.
And I think he allowed himself to be too distracted by Rachel Scott, ABC News, which was
Yep.
part of the trap against him. So there's a couple of things coming together here that are hurting Trump,
Yep.
but there's several things that are coming together here that are helping him as well.
Well, let me ask my audience, guys. If you like this, click the button that is like. Click that like button. It does matter. Every bit matters. Please do so. If you're watching on X or Twitter, retweet this now. Why are you looking at us? I know we're good-looking men. We'll still be here. Just hit the retweet. We're not going nowhere. Mike's not leaving yet. And if he does leave, you can find him on Rumble at No Sound Bites Allowed. He does shows all during the week, but his big show is always Sunday. It's like 87 hours long. So he talks forever. I don't even know he goes to the bathroom. I don't know what he does, but he talks forever. That's what he does.
No.
That's his big one. That's big. But anyway, you'll see him do shows all the time. Please do that. If you want to get your chat to the front, you can always support the show by super chatting. If you want to become a member because you love me that much, I do love you. Go ahead and do that. Click that join button. $5 a month, and I can do more of this and less working and more of this instead. See that? That's important. So if you
remember,
can,
folks, your like, your share, and most of all, your subscription, plus minus, a couple of super chats here if you can, they help free speech. It's not whether you agree with me or Larry specifically. It's about having the chance to have the conversation to prove, to make our case. That's what your like, your share, your subscription, your super chat. That's what you're donating to. That's what you're supporting. It's free speech.
Love it. There we go. All righty. Let me keep going.
It didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that was the one.
Police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But
Well, that's the point that I want to bring up, right? I don't know if you know much about it. What happened basically, Mike, is a woman was having mental issues.
Mm-hmm.
She actually called for help because she went to check herself in. Like she recognized she was having mental issues. They wouldn't take her.
What?
So then she came back to her house and she thought some guy was stalking her.
She went psychotic break?
She didn't know if it was real or not. So she called the cops. She said, look, I don't know. I think some guy's stalking me. I don't know what's going on. I'm having a problem. So the sheriff came. 2 sheriffs showed up. 2 deputies showed up. And they asked to be invited in. She said yes. She was making spaghetti. So she was making spaghetti. That was the pot of water. And so as she's talking to them, the deputy is calm with her. He says, we look, there's nobody there. It's okay. And she starts calming down. Okay, so it's not. This is what happened. And the camera of the second deputy was on. The first deputy's camera he never put on. Another reason why he's gone. He broke protocol.
Right. They're both supposed to turn it on as soon as they enter.
The first deputy did. The second one did not. And he was supposed to. And he's the one who did it. So then he sees the bubbling water, and she is not thinking about her bubbling water. She's forgotten about it completely while she's making the spaghetti.
Right.
So he says, you better turn that off or it's going to be a problem. She goes to turn it off. And when she grabs it, she picks it up. He gets scared. She's going to throw it at him. He draws his weapon.
What?
Yes. He draws this is, and you can see it. I'm not making it up. This is on video. He draws his weapon and she is complete. She utterly breaks, like doesn't know what to do. Like puts it down, hands, whatever. And he shot her.
Okay. That's especially since he's the one initiating her action.
Yes.
So she's responding to his command.
Yes.
To stop the war. Yeah, that guy, mind you, I love backing the blue when they're right. Backing the blue doesn't mean they're always right. When they are right, we back them. When they are wrong, and based on this description, that's wrong, throw them in jail to the max. To the max. Yes. That, and I know you, Larry, you're not, when we go through these, you don't embellish. You do give a very accurate answer to that. So I have no doubt the description you've just given. And in that, yeah, this is why the police union isn't backing him, why he shouldn't have immunity, and why he should be charged to the full extent. But that's atypical of what we see across the nation.
No, what I'm saying is he should have, that's my point. He should have been briefed. His team dropped the ball.
That one they should. That's such an outlier. It should have been, because it is 100%. Such an outlier.
Yes, and even people here. Philly Girl says, yep, she remembers it. Yep. Patty says it too. Patty says, Voss, horrific case. Yes. Yeah. She goes, hey, the other deputy is in shock. He can't believe what he did.
I'm not surprised, because that makes no sense how that.
Yeah. How can you react that way? The officer totally failed at his job. Yeah, this was a specifically bad case. This is why his team should have briefed him on this one. His team got the ball on this.
Yeah, so, that's too extreme not to. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And they're going to be charging the officer. I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much.
See, that's a bad answer, because he wasn't briefed.
It is.
All we had to say was, this guy is a monster. Yes, no immunity for him. Pop, 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 boom.
In fact, afraid to answer right now. I can see it. He's afraid. He's tentative. Like, he sounds like he wants to say, like I initially said, it sounds like he doesn't get anything, but he doesn't want to say yes because he doesn't know if this is part of the trap that ABC has already been trying to lay for him. Is this more of that trap? Is there a catch to this that I don't know about? I feel bad for him because he can't really answer.
There we go.
Different cases than that. We need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, they had 117 shootings and 17 deaths.
Very normal.
Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question? Who would make those?
Yeah, see, that's an issue again. He said, his words, Trump's words, all police should get full immunity. You say full immunity, every libertarian is screaming at you. Every libertarian is screaming at you.
There's a context to that, and there's a big difference.
He did not say it, and that's why
he doesn't have to, because presidents.
Yes, you do. If you're the president and you yell full immunity, you need to clarify that.
No, because the reality is, and we all know this, I understand. The general public, the normies, will look at that and go, oh my God, no, because anyone who's politically adept at all and follows this knows that is the umbrella, the hyperbole. That's the news media. It's getting into every newspaper because I'm trying to promote my idea. That's not the reality.
Because yet again, he's exaggerating with his hyperbole, now biting him in the ass. Me and Morgan are right, Mike. Your boy talks too much trash.
It's not trash. He's trying to promote his idea, and this is going to get it into the newspapers. I don't have to like the process. I understand the process. So does he.
Those
right now, for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job, maybe with crime, or made a mistake, an innocent mistake. There's a big difference between being a bad person and making an innocent mistake.
Wrong, but
if somebody made an innocent mistake, I would want to help that person.
What would those exceptions be? What would determine?
She's right. She's right. He made a blanket statement with this hyperbole bullshit that he always does, and he has not clarified it at all. And she's like, "Tell me what this means. I need to know because
she's fair.
I need to know."
She's doing her job and she's being fair. It's respectful. It's a pushback and a challenge on something that isn't clear. This is the job of a journalist. Ask the question. Get the answer, and you can do that respectfully while still being challenging to your interviewee. I have no problem with what she's saying. I have no problem with what she's trying to get an answer, and I understand that Trump is afraid of the trap that he thinks might be right around the corner, in part because he wasn't prepared for this, especially this question, by his team. So I can sympathize with everyone at this point. But again, this is a night and day. Harris Faulkner this woman who I don't know what her name is, and it's kind of unfair. No one in the media talks about her. No one has ever
And she
mentioned
wasn't
her
bad
name.
at all.
No, she's doing her job. I got
absolutely.
night and day difference between them and Rachel Scott. Absolutely.
There we go.
After somebody, and it's a very close call, and it's very dangerous. And they have the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing, because sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision, and sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of they made a mistake.
So I want to follow up really quickly. I find it interesting because you do talk about reining in prosecutors, especially when it comes to prosecutors that are prosecuting you. Why doesn't that skepticism apply to law enforcement?
Well, I've been prosecuted because I'm a political opponent of two people that have weaponized our justice system.
True also.
I've been prosecuted. I just won the big case in Florida. Everyone said that was the biggest case. That was the most difficult case. And I just won it. Now, Biden has a similar case, except much worse. I was protected under the Presidential Records Act. Biden wasn't, because he wasn't president at the time. And he had 50 years worth of documents.
40,
and they ruled that he was incompetent, and therefore he shouldn't stand trial. And I said, isn't that something? He's incompetent and he can't stand trial, and yet he can be president. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Mr. President,
They released him on the basis that he was incompetent. They said he had no memory, and he was a nice old guy, but he had no memory, and therefore we're not going to prosecute him. I won the case, and it got very little publicity. I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it.
Look at him smacking.
We cover you
George
extensively, sir. I'd love to move over on
I didn't
to
notice you do
Look at
any
him slapping
publicity
him.
on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case. This is an attack on a
Biggest case,
political
of course it
opponent.
is.
I have another one where I
Sir,
have
if you
a
don't mind, I'd
hostile
love to.
judge.
We have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love to move on to different
No,
topics.
excuse
if
you.
we
You're the
can.
one that held me up for 35 minutes, just so you understand.
God.
We can move on
He's
now.
right.
He's not wrong.
Right. And she's being rude. He's trying to answer the question that was asked. Mind you, he's doing what politicians do. He's bloating it a little bit. Let's call him for what he's doing. He's embellishing a little bit. That is his nature. So
You
I
finally
get that.
admitted some of the embellishment. Okay, you admitted some. Okay, good.
Of course, most politicians do. Come on, Larry. You've heard them speak. I've heard 18 years. I've been listening to politicians every level.
Yep.
They all embellish a bit. But, and the higher the elected office, the more they embellish. But she's rude. She's absolutely rude. Because why? I haven't attacked him lately. He's doing better than he should be at this event. Everyone else isn't demonizing him. They're giving him respect. I have to go out and propaganda. Here we go. Left wing attack. And here she comes.
All right.
To the race, sir, I want to get back to the campaign. Senator J.D. Vance is your running mate. He's had a lot of controversy lately, and I want to read you a few things that he has said in the past. He said the Democrats running the country are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. He's not talking here about how great it is to be a parent. He's attacking what he says are the choices people are making to not have children.
No, he's being very specific.
You know, he had these views about people who do not have children before you picked him to be your running.
No, he's being specific. He's talking about the far left.
But the point is, right? Again, there's a way to ask this question again, right? Yeah. She just goes, he said these terrible things. Clearly he's a bad guy. Did you know he was a terrible person before you picked him? That's how she's asking versus saying the reality, which is these things people could see this as negative. People could be insulted by this.
It could be
How
controversial
do you feel about
for some
that?
people.
Could be controversial. How do you feel? But that's the way you ask that question, right? Look, some people didn't like it. Some people got insulted. You could see how this could work. What do you think? That's the way of asking versus, okay, we all know your guy's a terrible person. Do you regret the terrible decision you made yet or no? That's how she asked it.
Yeah. This is your cabal of evil. Do you have any comment about your cabal of evil that's expanding?
Yes.
You know, this is what she's saying. I mean, come on.
Yes.
Again, she knows what she's doing. She's doing it on purpose. She's trying to set up no-win scenarios for him. Say he can't answer a question that has any positive outcome.
Yes.
She's good. I'm sure she got a bonus for this entire performance because it's stellar. It's her being fantastically partisan and propagandist.
Janice brings up a very important point, though. There's a lot of cat ladies.
And
She's not wrong. She's not wrong.
And that's who he's talking. Come on, let's be honest, folks.
Yes.
He's talking about the purple-haired single cat lady, and those numbers are growing on the left because of the policies of the left.
Well, not just the left. Mike has bad news. Says there's childless cat ladies on both sides that are running to many things. I think it's true, and the issue is, I think if you are a childless cat lady who likes Trump, I don't think you're upset by that, because I think, to your point, you would believe, no, he means the blue-haired, funky glasses cat lady who's on the left. I think that's what he means by that. And I don't think he would actually push away right-leaning women who own cats. I don't think that's going to push them away.
I agree. That's not who he's targeting. He's just trying to be insulting and diplomatic at the same time. And JD Vance isn't quite good at that yet.
No, JD Vance is not great at that. My opinion, I think you know my opinion. I think JD Vance was a mistake pick, but I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's going to cost him the election. No, but I think he could have picked better.
Yeah, he could have definitely picked better. But we agree on that.
Yep. So a user has been banned says, "Do you feel better now that you don't beat your wife and kids?"
Yeah.
Yes. That's good. That's good. So all right. Kaiwan Calendar says, "I think about that is my thing is that JD Vance is not doing good for Trump for the single Republican women." I'm not sure.
I think it's way too early to tell on that for sure.
Yes.
And right now we're in something else to keep in mind, folks. These things that are happening right now have a magnifying glass on them. We're getting a overreaction about Kamala's the bestest ever. She's like Ray Palpatine right now. And that's the approach they're pushing on her. And everything that JD Vance is doing is hyper negative in that same light. And of course, Trump is Satan, and he's been Satan for 8 years. So in that environment, we're seeing this. Give it another month. We're going to have different views about these same issues. And
I agree. People. Jan says, "I was a cat lady up until last year, and I wasn't offended by the comment. I thought it was funny." Yeah, I don't think that comment is I think that comment reinforces if you are already predisposed to not like him, right? If you already don't like Vance, then it just reinforces it, right? See, I knew I didn't like him. It just reinforces a hatred. If you don't care or like him, I don't think it turns you either way. This is my view.
Maiden, do you agree with him?
No, I know this. He is very family oriented, and he thinks family is a great thing. That doesn't mean he thinks that if you don't have a family, it's not. I know people with families. I know people with great families. I know people with very troubled families. And I also know people with no families. They didn't meet the right person. Things happen. You go through life, you don't meet the right person.
But he's not just talking about families here. He also says that people that don't have children should get less votes than those that do.
I'm just speaking for myself.
Is that your campaign
I think
position?
I'm speaking for him too. He strongly believes in family, but I know people with great families. I know people with not great families that don't have a family. And the people without the family are far better. They're superior in many cases, okay? He's not saying they're not. What he's saying is that he thinks the family experience is a very important thing. It's a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that if you grow up and you grow older and you don't meet somebody that would be wonderful to meet and would have been good, that's a bad thing. He's not saying that. My interpretation, you'll have to ask him actually, but my interpretation is he's strongly family oriented. But that doesn't mean if you don't have a family.
I'm going to tell you something that you
Not a great answer.
I'm going to go the opposite. And I think you're going to be surprised with my answer. I think this is one of his best answers.
Really? Because I don't like it.
And the reason why I'm going to say, I know you don't, because you like strength. And it is very rare that Trump is able to project any type of empathy. It's not, Trump projects strength like no other. He is very good at projecting strength, and you love that. He is not good at projecting empathy. This is the only time during the entire interview that he actually projects empathy. He actually says sometimes you can't find somebody, and that's okay. This, I think, was actually his best answer in the entire thing, because it's a time when you actually see. It's similar to. Hold on, let me get before you jump on me. Let me go. Remember when he was during the Republican convention?
Yeah.
What was some of the best times when he was hugging his grandkids? It was because he was showing empathy. And Trump is defensive. He projects strength like there's no tomorrow. Old Joe Biden used to project empathy very well. Not anymore at all. But if you go back about 10 years, Joe Biden was amazing at projecting empathy. Remember, I feel you.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton, the master. I feel your pain.
Yeah.
Oh, he was the master of projecting empathy, right?
Okay.
Trump
That's
doesn't do it
fake.
well.
See, that's the fake empathy.
I said project. I didn't say real. I said project.
I understand.
What I'm saying here is this time Trump actually showed some empathy.
No, yes, I prefer to hear leaders that are more definitive. And my problem is it's not as definitive. And he's going in the weeds because he's trying to protect JD Vance and still answer the question with the empathy that you're speaking about. But he's a human being. And one of the things I think this question highlights is that Trump is a human, and yet we often look at elected officials as being other than human. You won the election. You must know the answers to these tough questions. No, you were an idiot before the election. You're an idiot after the election. Nothing changed. Osmosis did not happen. You're a nice person or a bad person before the election. Same thing after the election, maybe just a little bit more emphasized, but you're still the same thing. So that's my problem. Is he's trying to do too much.
It's actually a good answer and not a bad answer.
No, I think it's a bad answer.
Hold on.
I think the better answer is
here. Janice is on my side. She says, I felt that empathy too, Larry. He's human.
Yeah, he is human. You know what, Larry? It's kind of like
he's like a wolf is still a wolf.
Yeah,
so I'm not sure.
Exactly. But it's kind of like, Larry, you and I know we both go through this. When we sit down and we're out at the diner, by the way, I'm sorry about the Neptune Diner that closed. It was so great. Loved
Diner
it.
Closed. It's
I know.
making me want to leave my neighborhood now. I used to go to that. I went to that diner for 23 years.
Yeah, I know. It was a great place. But here's the thing that people would be surprised by. You and I, like, again, we know each other for a long time now, not giving away our age. We'll sit down, we'll have a meal, and kind of like this, we'll sit, we'll talk, we'll argue, and we'll have a great time. And other people will be with us sometimes they're not. We'll talk with them, we'll argue, we'll laugh, we'll joke, blah, blah, blah. We're human beings. Mind you, when we do this is a little bit of more of a snapshot of us because, this is our job. This is our thing. We're doing politics, and that's very focused. But we're human beings. Same thing with the candidates. So I understand he's being human. This is the man you would get outside of the political arena, and we're getting a little bit of that. But
and that's why I say I like this answer.
And that's why I don't like it. I don't. This isn't the time for it. I don't agree with that. Now, that's my reasoning why. I understand if people don't agree with that, because I get it. But that's my reasoning why.
Okay, I got it. Mike says it's those crazy ladies or men in the managerial class with too much power.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about that too. I agree. There's something to be said about it too. Yeah, I agree. All right.
There's something wrong with it.
Just one last point and then we'll move on. Just one of the bedrock principles of American life is one person, one vote. Senator J.D. Vance has suggested that someone who has children should have more votes than a person who does not have children. Yeah. I just want to be clear here. Is that the position of your campaign?
Well, no, but it's not something I have ever heard before. I can tell you this. Right now, you have illegal aliens coming into our country.
See, this is his norm.
But he
went right into the attack. And that
right.
is why the last answer, he did not do that. And that's why it was a good answer, damn it.
Okay. And he is right to emphasize and to point out to the American people what is being done below their eyes. We know that in San Francisco and in San Diego, in California, they are allowing illegal aliens they're changing the law to allow illegal aliens to vote in their elections.
Happening in New York
They
City.
tried that in New York City.
Yeah.
And so this is a concern because it is taking away from the American people and their rights. He should emphasize that. He should point that as a contrast. And more importantly, that's perhaps, and again, he's not speaking for J.D. Vance. He's saying, well, considering that we have 8 million illegal aliens that are being pushed towards voting, and they owe the Democrats, or at least they believe, and they're led to believe they owe the Democrats. That may be why J.D. Vance is saying that you, American citizen, need more than one vote, because of look at what they're doing to counterweight the election to get an advantage.
I think Mike is on your side. He goes, we don't need him to be human. We need him to be a liberal destroying robot. I think he's on your side.
No,
Yes.
there you go.
I'm with Janice, though. I think the empathy's better. We just got to agree to disagree on that one.
Many from prisons and many from mental institutions, and they want to give them votes. I don't think they should have votes. They came into our country illegally,
People
and
who
they're
are only
taking the
American
vote away
citizens
from
are
all
allowed
of the
to vote,
people in
sir.
this room that have been here a long time, that have worked hard, that in many cases, and you'll see this happening, if I'm not elected, you're going to see it happen. If I am, you're not going to have any
I'm not
problem.
elected.
But you're going to see it happening a long time. You're going to see the people in this room and people outside of this room are going to be losing their jobs to people that have come into this country illegally.
Mr. President, can we stay with just kind of the state of the race right now? Because I felt like that vice president question, candidate question was right in there with that. So
Okay.
let's talk about J.D. Vance for a little bit. He's had some stumbles out of the gate.
Nice segue.
I don't know if you're hearing what we hear as reporters.
Yeah, but see, she didn't say, he's evil, why'd you pick him? She says, he's had some stumbles out of the gate. Yeah, it's true. That's an accurate statement. But you're not saying he's evil, you screwed up, do you want to get rid of him? He just says,
Why are you
he's had
trying to
some stumbles.
demonize America? This is
Correct.
obviously the devil. Yeah. She's doing her
Yes.
job.
But
She's
it's been a tough-
asking the question and letting the audience react to the answer.
Correct. If you hate J.D. Vance, you hear that as that evil guy.
Yeah.
If you like J.D. Vance, you hear him as, yeah, he had some stumbles. If you don't know, you go, oh, he did? Let's hear it. Either way, you win with the way she asked that question.
Yeah.
Couple of weeks for him. Why did you choose J.D. Vance?
Why not?
Much better question.
Why did you choose him? And I'm having a hard time hearing too. I
chose
know
him
everybody out
because-
there can, but it's
I'll
hard
tell
to
you
hear.
why. I chose him because he's a very strong believer in work and the working man and woman, and especially the working man and woman who have been treated very unfairly, because you have many of them in this room. But you have many of those people, they were treated very unfairly. They worked very hard and they were treated unfairly. He wrote the book that became a bestseller. The movie became a smash hit. He's a very smart guy without the benefit of having a family that has contacts, like a father that was well connected. He got into Yale Law School. He graduated in 2 years from Ohio State, summa cum laude. I mean, you take a look at, his career has been an amazing career. He started off at a level with a difficult family situation, very difficult with the mother and the father and everything else. He ends up going to Yale Law School and was one of the top students, became the head of the Law Journal.
This is all standard boilerplate,
I mean, it's
folks.
an amazing thing. He's a 4-year, he was
I don't blame
in the
him for it.
military with great
It's just
distinction
I
for
mean,
4 years.
you hear this a billion
Got out,
times
went into
in every
business,
election.
became
It's
successful
boilerplate.
in business, very successful in business.
So I'm not stopping
actually.
it. It's the
Did
same old stuff.
Yeah.
It is.
offerings and other things. And I have to believe in that. I mean, he's somebody that was born in a rough situation. Most of the people know that situation because it was very well documented in his book.
Yep.
And I have a lot of respect for somebody that can get into Yale and become one of the best students in Yale, that meets a young woman at Yale who is also
Mind you,
outstanding.
I'm not downplaying
married,
it.
have a
It's
beautiful
just
family, but he had
this is not substantive. This
It
is
isn't.
standard election stuff.
Yes. She said, why'd you pick him? And he says, here's his resume.
Yeah.
That's basically what he did. Here's his
Exactly.
resume. But we knew his resume, dude. It doesn't
This
really
is
mean
a
anything.
pause. She was
Yeah,
saying,
maybe.
let's pause and lower the rhetoric that's
Yeah.
going on here. Let's lower the temperature. And this is the way to do it, which is just boom. Now we've shifted everyone's attention. We've lowered everyone's temperature. This is a reset for the room, essentially.
Yep.
himself an amazing life. He then goes to Ohio, lives in Ohio, and he had my endorsement. That helped. But he wins the Senate. He becomes a United States Senator. So he's a United States Senator.
So-
And so, Harris, like I respect you for your success, I respect people
Well,
for
thank
their
you.
success.
The reason I asked the question is because the last time you and I sat and talked was the day that you were shot. We'd been together for much of that day. You left to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, and we didn't know what.
Look at Rachel's face. She's pissed.
2 days after that.
I cannot understand your microphone.
I know
is so
it is
muffled.
really hard for me to.
Rachel is pissed. Just look at her face.
She's
She's so mad.
Angry he's even there.
Happy to hear that, sir.
But I can't
Really happy to hear
understand,
that.
Harris,
I have a few more questions.
because of the distance and the mics are really in lousy shape, but I cannot understand
Are you
So,
asking a question?
what you're saying. Go
so
ahead.
what I wanted to say was the last time we spoke, you said some words that were prophetic because I asked you who you wanted to choose for vice president.
Yeah.
And you said normally it really wouldn't matter what they would bring, you choose somebody that you think has a future, that sort of thing. But you said these words 3.5 hours before an attempted assassination on your life. You told me that bad things happen, Harris, and that's why this decision is important this time. Bad things happen. You said it twice. When you look at J.D. Vance, is he ready on day one?
Fair question.
Is he what?
It is a fair question, right? That's the way you ask.
Critical.
If you want to do that, you ask it that way. And if Trump can't answer it, then he screwed up.
That's it, because it doesn't get as nice but yet important
Yes.
as that.
You got to be able to answer that question. Absolutely. By the way, did you see that he took Rachel's water bottle? Janice brought that up. He took the water bottle. Yeah. People don't realize something. Trump actually has a mild form of OCD. And people don't recognize, but it's true.
I know he had a germaphobe thing. He has
Yes,
a germaphobe thing.
And that is a mild form of OCD. So he will change, move water, move things away, check it, test it. He does it in his office. It's not like major, but it's like a minor thing. You'll see all of a sudden just move, shift, do something.
I've known some people who had OCD. When I was a stockbroker, I had a broker friend of mine who had massive OCD. Funniest thing ever to do: take a stick and put it on his computer. Next 45 minutes, his life is just fixing the entire his entire area.
Yep.
Cruel, but really funny. But
Yes.
and Trump's kind of like that. I take it.
Yeah, but it's minor. It's not like it's major. You
He's
can see it
completely
happen. You'll see it.
functional, but it's that
Ready on
little
day one, if he has to be.
I've always had great respect for him and for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented. Historically, the vice president in terms of the election does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side, who it's going to be. And then that
Kamala will
dies
get a little
down,
bounce.
and it's all about
That's
the
it.
presidential pick.
Gone in a week.
Virtually
Yeah.
never has it mattered. Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for different reasons of what we're talking about, not for vote reasons, but for political reasons, other political reasons. But historically, the choice of a vice president makes no difference. You're voting for the president, and you can have a vice president who's outstanding in every way, and I think JD is. I think that all of them would have been, but you're not voting that way. You're voting for the president. You're voting for me. If you like me, I'm going to win. If you don't like me, I'm not going to win.
I'm going to get my JD
Fair.
Vance question in.
JD Vance.
I'm going to get my JD Vance question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced.
Again, not on the attack, just asking a question.
Do you think? Well, I mean, my
But
point
at
is
least
here.
it was said in a friendly manner.
My
See,
point
he
is.
said yes. She's not being mean. He's right.
Yeah.
Do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what JD Vance is saying?
That's a valid question, right?
It's a valid
You-
question asked in a valid way.
Yes. Do you think that they're being too preachy? What's wrong with that? That's
Nothing.
but the reality of it is they did I don't know if you know that they actually did a survey of people last year, maybe a year and a half ago. What one word do you'll come to mind when you think about Democrats or Republicans? You know
Oh, I
what
don't know this one.
yes, the Democrat, the word that people came out with the highest one was preachy. Yes. And Republican, it was crazy. Yes. About a year and a half, 2 years ago. It is the thing. Yes. Well, because the Democrats are all about you got to do what I say, or we're going to cancel you. It was the height of cancel culture. So you're like you're preachy. That was it. Democrat.
Right.
So she's basically saying, do you think the Republican Party is becoming too preachy? I think maybe people think Democrats are too preachy.
Oh,
I don't know.
I think they absolutely think that. I mean, think about it. I would use the word authoritarian. You know, mandates.
Yeah, but
on
the average person won't
medications,
use that word. But you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of hard because sometimes we got to step back. I talk to you. We've got a small circle of people we all know. We're political junkies, so we have slightly different language.
Right.
But that's why I love the chat, because the chat
Right.
brings us back to, brings us back to the ground and goes, no, stop saying that. This is what you mean.
Right.
That's why I love you guys, chat. I love you. Chat always brings it back.
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the
But
death.
I think it's
They're
about
allowing
freedom,
the
right?
death of a baby after the baby is born, based on
Sir,
the
that
governor
is
of
illegal in
Virginia.
every state in the
That's
country.
Based on the governor of Virginia,
Executing a
they're
baby in
allowing the
every
death
state
of
in
the
the country
baby
is illegal.
after it's born.
It's a
They're
crime.
allowing abortions in the 8th and 9th month.
Well,
of
Democrats
pregnancy.
have
I
denied.
think they're.
You notice?
And
You
I think
notice? Hang on. That ABC News, Rachel, she's been silent this whole time. She doesn't like the answer. And the
At all,
answer
she's doing it,
is
yes.
accurate. So now she's got to jump in and try and overwrite what Trump is saying. She's got to reinforce.
Why? She has the fact checkers, she said, right? The fact checkers are going to be
She- you
checking the
think she
facts or
just-
whatever.
All she has to do is sit back. People are already fact checking. All of ABC, NBC, CNN, MSNBC, they're all rewriting this as we speak. She doesn't have to do anything. But no, she's compelled to
Yes.
stop people from hearing what he's saying here, because that's not the approved message. It doesn't help fortify 2024. So she has to stand in. She has to kick in with that propaganda. Again, she's so insanely biased. I once said that she should be fired. And again, listening to it for the full thing for the second time, she should be fired.
There we go. You've doubled down. I love it.
I think the Republican Party is actually much less. I think I've made them much less radical, perhaps, but the
That's not
Republican
true.
Party, what we're doing is bringing it back to the states where everybody wanted it. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservative, everybody.
See, this is the part that where he's wrong on this because of the way he says it. All of the legal scholars wanted it to go back to the states, but the individual Democrats did not want to go back. They wanted it to just be the law of the land.
No.
The average Democrat, of course.
The average woman, first of all,
Democrat-
the average Democrat doesn't understand. So it's
Correct.
unfair. It's unfair. It all
That's
depends on the
true.
way you ask the question, because the average
Yes.
Democrat didn't understand the fragility of the argument that was being made in the first damn place.
Correct. I'm with you. I'm agreeing with you, which is why the average Democrat just wanted to stay law. They didn't want it to be
They
overturned.
thought it was
Now,
going to be law. They thought it was a
Yes.
law. It's not.
That's correct. So that's why when what he says is accurate when it is legal scholars. Correct. All the people who were in the know on how broken Roe v. Wade was and how fragile it was, whether they were liberal or what, he's right. They all wanted to go back to the states. But the average American didn't understand how weak it was, thought it was going to be law tomorrow, was already law. In fact, most candidates who were pro-choice actually said that their words, it's settled law. They would say that all the time. It's settled law. When you and I know it was not settled law, that's why it got overturned. But they was saying it all the time. And I think what he should say, because I think he's wrong on the way he's saying it. He's saying like everybody wanted it. The legal scholars of all sides wanted to go back to the states.
Well, you
That's
know what?
true. But the
Well,
average
let's be
American
honest.
did not.
Let's be honest. He can't say legal scholars because they're going to mince the words, and more importantly, it diminishes the power behind what he's saying. It isn't.
But it's not true. He's
inaccurate.
exaggerating again.
No,
And it's not true. Even the Philly girl says she's like, correct.
Okay.
She knows I'm right.
Well, when did she say correct? But anyway,
She then said true. So either way, I was talking. So either way,
Okay.
I'm correct, Mike.
okay, yeah. we'll move from that. I think it's more towards me. But the thing is, yes, he may be embellishing. He's emphasizing his point. It's standard political speak, and it's not unusual or uncommon or even wrong to up the numbers a little bit, because he's really not saying that this
He's
is
saying everybody.
It's not-
His
well, no,
words
no.
are
It's not
everybody wanted it. And it's
okay.
just not true.
Everybody in the know. Yes.
Correct.
Again, he's leaving out
Correct.
words just like they say they leave out from the peak. He's leaving out in the know. But
correct. And they're both wrong. That's my point. See, Philly girl was on my side. She says, I agree. Most voters thought Roe v. Wade was the law. Yes, they did.
okay,
Yes.
fair
100%.
enough. Fair enough, Philly.
Everybody wanted abortion brought back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. They wanted it, everybody.
But the
wanted
majority
it
of
back.
Americans oppose
Excuse
Roe
me.
v. Wade being
They-
overturned.
Thank
They
you.
don't know
She's
about
right.
this. Right now, they're voting. It brought it back to the states.
No,
All
they opposed it
exceptions.
depending on the circumstance. Again, very much depends on what's the question you're asking. It's like, do
It's
most
mostly simple.
Americans?
If you would ask the average American a simple question, do you want Roe v. Wade to be overturned?
No, you can't ask that question because most people don't even know what Roe v. Wade is. To be fair, they really don't. The question is, do you believe in abortion in the 9th term for the late term? And there's several questions in this because it's specifically about time. It's about circumstance. It's about choice. There's several elements here. And depending on how you put that question together, you're going to get a very different answer. I have seen for decades now, and I'm sure you too, Larry, and many people in the comments, I can find you polls all over the place in terms of the numbers, and it's very different. It's all about what's the question. If you ask people, one of the things that are generally true, everyone believes in rape, incest.
Not everybody.
When I say, okay, the overwhelming majority
That's
of
true.
people
Yep.
in America, when asked about rape and incest for abortion, they will say, yes, we understand those exceptions. If you ask, the overwhelming majority of people in America will agree that abortion in the 9th month is something they disagree with,
Yep.
overwhelmingly.
Agreed.
But almost no one is arguing about either of those two things. And everything else is blurred, and that's the problem.
100%. Agreed. He's not helping. That's my point.
Believe with rape, incest, life of the mother. I do. I think
Life, not
most
health.
people do.
Life,
I think most
not health.
Republicans do also. But if you take a look, right now it's an amazing thing. Out of the federal government, it's in states, and people are voting. And I will say, Ohio is, let's call it a more liberal version, has been approved. Kansas, the same thing, a little bit surprising to a lot of people. But the people are now voting, and it's taking this issue that's been going on for 52 years and has torn our country apart, and it's giving it to the people to vote on, and they're voting. And many states have already voted. Others are in the process of voting, and it's bringing it back to the people and a vote of the people. And it's not at all radical. And again, you have to follow your heart. I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Most people believe in the 3 exceptions. Most Republicans believe in the exceptions.
Sure.
But they don't want to see an abortion in the 9th month or the 8th month. Almost everybody agrees to that. And they certainly don't want to see, in the case of the governor of Virginia, the former governor, I might add,
Northam,
who said, we set the baby aside and then we decide what to do. Meaning, what do? We execute the baby.
that's what he said.
Radical, horrible position. And some people want that. I don't want it. Most people don't.
Thank you. Can I just pivot really quickly to another question about, you brought up health, Harris. You're an active man. We see you golfing all the time. But if you win, you'll still be president at 82, which is older than Biden is right now.
Not mentally. Look, mentally.
Good. He's right.
Good smack. Good smack.
He's shot. But most people.
Would you consider?
Most people, I know many people in their
Yeah.
80s and their 90s that are in great shape. Some of our
It's true.
greatest leaders. You look
Not
at throughout
everyone.
the world history, the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in the world were in their 80s.
But here's the question. Would you
No.
consider stepping down if you felt that your health was declining? Or would you?
Absolutely.
And who would
I
make
answered.
I'd know.
How would you make?
That was a great answer, but then he screwed up.
What? He
He
answered
He went, yes. And then he went, but I think I'd know. That he probably shouldn't have said.
it. Yeah, he
Just
keeps
saying.
going. Wait a minute. He
Yes.
keeps going on that point.
But it was a good answer, though.
Yeah.
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated
Oh my
me,
goodness.
And I'm
not gonna
fine
let
with
her
it
go.
because she was very rude.
Smack.
Very rude.
Smack.
That was a nasty, that wasn't a question. She
Hold
didn't
it,
ask
hold
me
it, pause
a
it for a
question.
second.
She gave a statement. That
Pause
was
it for a second. You know what? If you're going to go and get into a fist fight, be prepared to lose.
I'm
Be
agreeing.
prepared to fight.
I'm not. If I'm messing with Trump, I'm coming at everything. And he's swinging back. I got to block. I got to kick. I got to do everything if I'm going to fight this
it's not
man.
over when you go.
I agree.
Haha, I got my hit in. Yeah, it's not over. You're
Yes.
still in a fight. And Rachel, wake up. You were still in a fight.
I
and you
agree.
got
But
your-
Morgan has a valid point. He says it's just pettiness at this point. This is how you lose points. I do think at a point you can lose points, right? What winds up
I
happening
don't think he's there yet, but I understand what Morgan's saying.
But you're a supporter. Supporters to see their guy fight, right?
Yeah.
That's your guy win. They
True.
like it. I get it
True.
completely. Now, if I don't like Trump, then I don't want to see him win at all. So I'm mad. But if I'm in the middle, I think Morgan has a point. You could go to a point where someone goes, you know what, I was liking Trump, but now he's starting to seem a little petty to me. I think you can go there.
I can get that. But for those in the middle, forget about the extremes. Those in the middle, I don't think it's the worst position to have because you can always recover that. See, the thing is, the next time he speaks, you're not carrying that baggage. The people who hate him carry that baggage.
100%.
The people who support him threw that baggage away.
Yep.
The people in the middle, they're going to have it for a little while and then they're going to wait for the next thing. Okay, the next time, the next event, because they're looking at this very differently. They're like, oh no, there was an attack. He was in the middle of a fight. And whether they agree with how long the fight's going, they know that. So what happens the next time when he's not in a fight? Does he start a fight? Does he respond? And is he going to keep being petty? What's the next thing? So that's the difference about the people in the middle. So I don't see this as necessarily a negative.
I tell you what I
unless
see
he
this
keeps
as.
it up.
And I'm not sure his team told him this, but if I was on his team, I would have said, Mr. President, this right now, this is going to go on. This is a pull for black men. That's what it's a pull for. It's a pull for black men. That's how I would have seen this.
Mm-hmm.
And act accordingly. And let me tell you what I think is important, what matters, what doesn't matter, blah, blah. And I would have prepped him based upon that concept. That's what I would have done.
I think black men are loving this. I think black men are agreeing more with Trump and probably Harris Faulkner. Even the middle. God, I really feel bad for her. The black woman in the reporter in the middle that no one knows her name.
She did her job. She was fine.
I agree with that. It's just Rachel. Fine. Rachel is the radical politicized left, and everyone else is some other part of America. And I think Trump is winning throughout the entire event with all of those groups, not the political radical left that ABC News, that Rachel Scott is representing.
I'm saying, you're not going for those, right? That's
right,
so,
and he's
whatever,
not.
Right? You're not getting.
So I think he's won this. I think he did get that message from his team, sort of. They could have done better. He could have done better, but I think he achieved his goal. He's winning them.
Mike has bad nieces on my side. He's like, Trump's campaign team really sucks. I don't know if that's true in general, but in this case, yeah, they missed the opportunity at this point. So anyway,
I repeated your
answer the
statement, sir,
question.
actually.
You said you would.
Oh,
make that
absolutely.
decision
If I
to step
thought
down.
that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take a cognitive
done.
test.
Win.
I think it's a
Nicely
good
done.
idea.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
I took two
That
of
was
them
good.
and I aced them.
Well, can
I took two of them. But let me ask you.
Yeah.
I would like to have people running for president, and I don't mean because they're 75 or 85. I think anybody running, I'd like to do it. People say it's not constitutional. I would like to have something.
Yeah, there
passed
is an
where you can do
argument
it.
to that. There is.
I think we should know. I mean,
I
Double
get
down and
I get
win.
the constitutional argument, I do, but I still think what he's saying is correct. But if someone were to push back and say, look, you can't do a test because the Constitution is very clear on that, I could see that, but it doesn't mean you can't voluntarily do it.
It's
right?
not, to be
Because
fair, there's nothing in the Constitution for or against that.
No,
It's
there
just-
is.
Not that I'm aware of. What? There's
Yes,
something
it is. Yes.
to
there's
prevent him from saying
No. That you could take it as. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you may not take a cognitive test, but depends how you read it. The Constitution does say things like there may not be tests of X and Y.
Oh, no,
there cannot be
it's
this
not
or
a
that.
criteria for the presidency.
Correct.
But
it also says for voting and running for office, then the things like they can't take a loyalty test.
Right.
There's some things that say that. So I'm saying I could see someone argue that means no tests.
Okay.
But even if they were to argue that, you could still do it voluntarily.
Yeah, I understand. And I think the answer to that is at the petition stage, every candidate gets a cognitive test. Every candidate of every party gets a cognitive test at the petition stage, which means now you're no longer doing loyalty. It's not about the money. It's not about the party.
If you did petition, it also now would be because now the parties would be doing it, not the state, which would then make it constitutional.
Yeah.
Right. The second you make the parties do it, not the state itself do it, then it would be constitutional. So yeah, it would still work. That would actually get around in the argument anyway. You're right.
That gets around it. So I think that's perhaps people share this with your local politicians. Tell them that you got it from Larry and Mike.
There we go.
Do cognitive tests at the petition level.
There we go.
I've watched what's happened in the last couple of years under this gentleman, and our country is a mess. We have inflation. We have the millions of people falling in. We have Afghanistan, which was the worst, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. What he has done to our country, and her too, what they've done to our country, she has been a horrible vice president. She's considered the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Mr. President,
She's not the worst ever. See, there he is with his, she's the worst ever.
Taking the cognitive.
She is.
Mr.
Wait, she is.
No, Andrew Johnson was the worst president ever.
No, I'm talking about
vice president ever.
Kamala Harris,
he was the worst ever.
Kamala Harris has polled as the worst in the last 100 years at a minimum.
I would buy that. Okay.
And if not forever, but definitely within the last
not forever
years. At least,
yes.
I know, I have researched it, and I know that in the last 100 years, for sure, and possibly since for the entire nation, but I know for a fact the lowest in the last century is Kamala Harris. No doubt.
I could buy that, but no one's worse than Andrew Johnson. So yes, I would buy it, but he's the worst.
And make it public.
Well, I've already taken two of them, but I'll do it again.
Mr. President, how do you intend to...
I suggested, Harris.
3 times answered. 3
that
times.
Let's take one. I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her too. I would do it with her also. You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
And now they say he's racist.
Just to be clear,
I'm just giving you the facts.
to be clear, you don't think Harris.
How do you intend
She didn't pass her bar exam, and she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it. And I don't know what happened. Maybe she passed it.
She did pass it.
Okay,
She did.
one second. So this is funny. And of course, for supporters, they get it. For those who hate Trump and the TDS group, that's why Rachel's losing her mind right now. They're just livid. Oh my God, he's attacking this. She's a woman, and she's a woman of color, possibly even a black woman. You can't say this, because he's making allusions to the fact that she possibly may have had sex to get through and get her law degree. That's the subtext that some people may not understand. That's its subtext. That she did a Willie Brown to get her law degree. But given that she did have a Willie Brown incident, that is valid. It is a valid, well, not the way he did it, but it is a valid question. How can you ever trust that she did things the proper way when she has actively, we have caught her repeatedly doing things the wrong way just to get power?
Yeah,
how can you trust me?
I'm not fighting you on it. Mike has bad news. Says I would say LBJ might have been the worst vice president. He'd be in the running. I would put him in the running for sure. I would. And but I said that the woman in blue would think he's awesome because he passed the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. But
yeah, of course.
Yeah. So yeah. Any case, yeah. But that I get why you might say that. And Super Weapons asks why Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson was Abraham Lincoln's vice president. And he literally undid everything that Lincoln was trying to achieve with the Civil War.
Yep.
He undid reparations, which we're fighting about now, that would have happened back then in an actual very fair and just way. For those who don't know, reparation was supposed to be that the actual slave owners would lose their land, and that land would go to the slaves, so the people who owned the slaves paid the slaves, and then all of the mules that the army had from the Civil War, both wars, was useless. We give all the mules to the former slaves to run the farms. That was a fair idea and they call it 40 acres a mule, but that's what the actual plan was. It was that to happen.
Right,
Instead,
but
Andrew Johnson got rid of it all, and instead, gave reparations to the slave owners for losing their slaves. I'm not joking. That's how bad he was.
And Johnson was wrong. Now, mind you,
and by the way, hold on, almost the first president ever to be impeached.
Yeah. Now, 40 acres and a mule, which was a military deal, a military agreement.
Correct.
So it wasn't by the government. This is how they got around it, because it was military, and the officers involved, who was a colonel, I believe, might have been a general, was not authorized to do that nationally.
No, he was a general. It was Sherman.
General Sherman. It was General Sherman.
He was General. Yeah, Sherman.
And because he's a general, he can't, and he's in the military, he's not authorized to make policy for the United States. So that was the excuse and the out on that, which is why it didn't go forward. At the time,
yes, but hold on, it would have gone forward
good
because
idea. Doesn't work today.
Lincoln did believe in it.
Yeah,
he was okay with it, and
he would have approved it.
He would have done it. Like, fine, yes, absolutely.
And at the time, it was a good idea.
Yes, it was.
Today. Reparations
that
now
would have been
horrible idea.
That would have been a perfect answer to reparations back then. The people who did the bad thing pay the price directly to the people who they harmed. Yes. Wonderful idea. Would have saved a whole lot of problems. Andrew Johnson made sure that did not happen, and we're still fighting over this garbage now when this should have been done literally almost like 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my answer. So,
Mr. President, I would love to ask you about January 6th.
I bet you would.
Called yourself the candidate of law and order. Yeah. When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters, you said, yes, absolutely. Sure. You called them patriots. 140 police officers were assaulted that day. Their injuries included.
By the way, he took her water.
Yeah, I know. Now he drank it.
His water's to the other side.
Yeah.
That's where his water is.
Yeah.
He took her water.
It's a statement. It's a subtle statement.
Taking your stuff is mine.
Broken bones. At least one officer lost an eye. One
Most
had
of this stuff has nothing to do with January 6th.
Spinal disc. Another had a stroke.
Didn't have nothing to do with January 6th.
140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots.
They assaulted 140 officers.
No, she's counting.
There were 140. I don't remember anybody getting 140 counts of assault. I don't remember that. Okay.
Because it didn't happen. She's counting cases throughout all of DC that day. And depending on how you're reporting it, sometimes more than just January 6th. She's including things that don't have anything to do with what was happening in the halls of Congress.
Yep.
It is so biased and so unfair.
Back to modern day, like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol.
True.
You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint.
And I don't like this answer.
It will never actually come off, especially on the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll see it in 100 years from now. Mm-hmm. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed
that city? But sir, my question is on those.
What's going to happen?
No, he's right.
Is on those rioters who assaulted officers.
You have to
would you pardon those
What's going to happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You would pardon those?
If they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been convicted.
And by the way, the Supreme Court.
No, they were kangaroo court.
Well, they were convicted by a very.
Yeah, but this is the point that does bother me about this. And you know I'm all about criminal justice, and I am fair on this. I think I try to be at least in all criminal justice, which is.
And here we go. We disagree, I'm sure.
But the point is, they weren't convicted. the vast majority of them were bullied into plea bargains.
Yeah.
That's the reality. The vast majority.
Almost none of them went to court. Almost none.
Correct. A couple did, but it's like maybe
handful,
maybe 2%. Maybe there's very few who went.
About
most
less than 5%. Yes.
There we go. Yes. So but most of them just bullied into plea bargains.
Mm-hmm.
I don't count that as a conviction, and that maybe it makes me wrong, but I don't. You get bullied into that means maybe you did it, maybe you didn't. I don't know. You get now if you walk in the door and go, "I'll plea," yeah, you probably did it. But almost no one did that. If you remember, everyone was like under investigation, arrested, put in jail. They couldn't get bail, all of that stuff. So they were all bullied into plea bargaining.
Well, that's one thing. The other thing is this is all a violation of, overwhelmingly, this has been a violation of the 8th Amendment, which is unfair punishment for a crime. This has been abusive. I'm going to throw you in jail for 11 months before. And if you're one of the early ones, you've only been in jail for 11 months. There are some people still in jail and without a trial for what has turned out to be misdemeanor of walking, some would say breaking and entering, even lesser charges than that, which the Supreme Court has said this is unfair, unreasonable, this is unjust, because you were escorted by police officers. Thousands upon thousands of people were escorted by police officers through the halls of Congress and did nothing but walk through the building. And she's saying, oh, well, those are evil. They were trying to burn down America. 300,000 people was there at that day. And we have seen in other parts of the world, in Venezuela right now, governments are fighting, and it takes 1/10 the number of people to topple a government. They weren't there to take over the government. She is being partisan. She's pushing the propaganda. She's wants
also being hyperbolic.
Absolutely.
Like, were there some guys who beat up cops? Yes, we saw those on film.
Throw them in jail. I got no problem. Throw those guys 100%.
In jail. Yes, 100%. But she's about all the people who were there. No, the vast majority of them were not violent. The vast majority of them, like to your point, walked in, did dumb stuff. I agree with that. You probably shouldn't have done this stuff. You probably shouldn't have. But that doesn't mean you should be in jail.
Minor property damage.
Yes,
minor property damage.
Oh,
you messed up some papers. You moved around a desk. I mean, minor stuff. We're not talking about people breaking the windows to enter, who we know at least a few of those people have been found out to be members of Antifa, who joined there to try and incite that.
And how many feds?
And we know some people have been feds who were there to incite stuff. So this.
All I'm saying is I think he messed this answer up also, and he should have known.
Yeah, he did.
This
like
should have been.
It was a bad answer.
He should have said, "Look, there were some people who actually did what you said. We saw it. They were on film. We saw those. Those guys should go to jail. 100%. Yeah. They should. The rest of them, what? They were following people into a room, and now they're felons. They sit in jail for 11 months. Well, they're convicted. Yes, if you sit in jail for 11 months, you can't pay your bills. You got a family, you got responsibilities. You'll plead to anything.
On a misdemeanor crime that normally gets 3 months probation as the penalty, and these guys are waiting 11 months to get to a trial that then punishes them for 5 years in prison for something everyone else in the world gets 3 months probation.
100%.
A very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that...
See, but no, this is the wrong answer. You can't do whataboutism on this. It doesn't work.
But
he's doing whataboutism, it doesn't work.
You know what? It is a fair comparison because he's pointing out, and again, wrong. I don't agree with the answer he gave to this. I think it was the wrong answer. I understand it. And he's right to highlight that there is a massive hypocrisy and a massive propaganda that is being done by Rachel Scott and ABC News and the left, where they're like, Antifa, they don't exist. Jerry Nadler, they don't exist. They killed people. We know that.
Yeah,
we captured them. They want to ignore that.
There's a huge part here, though, Mike.
Is burning down, and they are telling us on live TV it's mostly peaceful.
You can't lead with that because if you lead with that, it's like saying, "Well, Larry, you murdered that guy. You should go to jail." But Mike murdered a guy. You can't lead with that.
I
You got to
understand.
first say, dude, you know I didn't murder a guy. You know that's not what happened. Blah, 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 blah. Then you go, and then you let Mike slide after he murdered that guy. So
Yeah, and I agree with you.
But you can't lead with it.
As I said, I agree with you. He answered the question badly, but the point he's making is valid. Sadly, it was buried in this, and
Yep.
you know, the left-wing news media are going to make sure it stays buried so that no one actually pays attention. Hell, they're not. No one's supposed to be watching the video. They're supposed to look at the highlight of, you know, the first 5 minutes. That's it.
We getting canceled.
Took over a large percentage of Seattle. How come nothing happened to them? How come the
But
people
sir, we're
that,
talking about
how
people
come
that
the
were
people-
seen
no, no,
beating
no.
officers
We're talking
with
about federal
flagpoles,
buildings.
dragging them down the stairs. They're on
They
video. Have you
saw
seen
the same
that?
thing.
Really? Well, they
You would
shot.
pardon those? You would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face
Remember her?
who was
Yes.
The neck, actually, not face, the neck,
They
but
shot
still
her in
bad.
the face. You know, nobody died that day.
No, stop that for a second.
But people died in Seattle.
Did you see the 7-minute video when she got shot? There's a 7-minute video
Yes.
that has
And
the
that
first,
guy's off.
the first 5 minutes earlier, which the Capitol Police are in the room. Everything is calm. They're under control. Then they get a call in their ear. All the Capitol Police, 4 of them that were by the door, all walk down the stairs. The camera tightens up. All of a sudden, no one knows what's going on. People get a little bit antsy because now they're in the room by themselves with no explanation of what's going on. They bang on the door a little bit. Ashley Babbitt's standing there. Suddenly a gun comes out, shoots her, and suddenly all the officers who are
I
just
remember.
on
All
the
the cops
stairs,
came. Yep.
they were waiting on the stairs with their shields, with their M4s. Then they enter.
Yep.
Staged. Whole thing staged.
My thing that drives me crazy, though, is that guy got away with it, but everybody else goes to jail.
Yeah.
The only person who died that day was her.
Yes. Well, no, there was a second one. There was another woman who was beaten to death by Capitol Police. They reported
She didn't die that day there, did she?
She did. They initially reported it as a drug-induced death. No, there's actual video of that day. She was beaten with a baton. She collapsed unconscious, and a Capitol Police officer, while she laid on the ground unconscious, is beating her over the head.
Wow.
She then
There we
later
go.
died that day. Nobody talks
There we
about it.
go.
There's video.
Nobody
No one
died.
talks about it.
People died in
140
Minneapolis.
officers
You know,
were
people died in
assaulted that
Minneapolis,
day.
and nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after the J6 people with a vengeance. And I'll tell you what about the cops that were, and I'm all for the police, as you know, but what about the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol? Go in, go in, go in. What about that? Look, nothing is perfect in life. But
True.
you have people from Minneapolis, you have people just from 5 days ago in Washington, D.C. They were having fistfights and fighting with the police. They were spraying and destroying. They were desecrating our monuments in Washington, D.C. 5 days ago, and nothing happened to them.
True.
And you can't have two systems of justice. That's
He's
why
right.
they went after me as a political opponent, because they felt they couldn't win without doing that.
Sure.
And we're going to win our cases and we're going to be vindicated, but I have to spend a lot of time on that and money. That's what they want. After the election, they won't care. Although in my case, I think they probably will, because the hatred is pretty deep. But I'll tell you, they went after me as a political opponent.
She nodded to that. The hatred's pretty deep.
She knows. She's like, we do hate you. I hate you too. Yes, so I'm here.
What do
Yes.
you do on day one if you win? What's your first thing?
Good question.
I close the border. And I do two things, because I can do a lot of things simultaneously. I close the border. We don't want
claps.
people coming in. We want people to come in, Harris, but they
Well,
have
that's
to
the
be
problem.
vetted. They have to be checked. They have to come in legally. We want
Legal,
people. I want
yeah.
people to come into our country, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. So when you say, what do I do? That, and I drill, baby, drill. I bring energy
Drill,
way
baby,
down.
drill.
I bring interest rates down. I bring inflation way down, so people can buy bacon again, so people can buy a ham sandwich again, so that people can go to a restaurant and afford it. Because right now, people can't buy food. Your grocery bills are up 40, 50, 60%.
Not wrong.
She's agreeing to me. Oh, she's agreeing. Thank you. I like you very much.
Mr. President, I think we are.
But it's true.
But to be fair,
Grocery bills.
he's not going to get it to be lowered realistically. The rate of continuing inflation is going to be subdued if he gets
Well, it depends
everything perfectly
on
right.
how fast everything comes to play, right? In
Like
theory,
I said, we're in a recession, and we're going to
Yeah.
still be in a recession for the first year.
Yeah.
After that, whatever he does from day one determines how we're going to see things in 2026. Will we
I
still
would
be in
argue,
a
hold
recession?
on, hear me out on this.
Yeah.
Whatever happens in November, if it's a clear victory either way, I think we'll see repercussions the next month before the person even takes, before they even. So, say for example, Harris pulls this out and wins. I think you will see an immediate response by the market, an immediate response from commodities. I think you see it right away. If Trump
that's
wins
not
this,
fair.
I
No,
think
wait a
you'll
minute,
see an
wait a minute.
immediate response
That's not
in
fair.
that right away.
Wait a minute, that's not fair because
Why
we
not?
always, every election, I used to be a stockbroker. Every election, there is always the next election day reaction, and then
That's what I'm saying.
and in the beginning of the year of the new year, at the inauguration, roughly the 21st of January, there's always a second reaction based on that election. It always happens. It doesn't matter who's in or who's not, and it's always the difference is generally if Democrats are winning, then you'll see both those times it'll be a sell in the market. People will get out and go to cash or into bonds. And if it's a Republican in general or conservative, you'll tend to see that people will buy into the market because they think the long-term prospect is better. That's it. But that's not indicative. And I hate when people use the stock market as an indication of the economy. It's not. It's not a foretelling.
No, I agree
of the
with you. I
economy.
agree. It's not an indication, but it can be an indication of commodities. Right? The price of commodities can be
Possibly. There's a lot more involved in that. And because there's so much involved in that, I mean, what are the other policies? What's going on around the world? Are we still going to be fighting the Houthis in the Red Sea, which is manipulating the prices of commodities right now? Are we still looking at the war with the Ukraine and Russia, which is not only just a proxy war, but it means that the food shortage, there's currently a global food crisis. We're 30% less food in the world than in 2019. As long as that war is going on, that global food crisis continues and all the repercussions because of that. So, there's a lot to it. That's why I say I can't go by Wall Street, the stock market. That's not an accurate indicator.
Okay.
Are up. And then they're mandating that you buy an all-electric car. You know, Elon Musk endorsed me, and he's a friend of mine. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But I'm against everybody having an electric car. Okay, I'm very much against that. You have to be.
Him and I agree on this one completely. I'm not against electric cars. I'm against forcing people to buy electric cars. If you want an electric car, good on you. Buy one. You don't, leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
If you want a hybrid or if you want a gasoline-propelled car, but you know we have more liquid gold, gasoline, oil under our feet than any other country. More than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than any other country. I want to use it. I want to use what we have. I want to bring down prices, bring down costs, and I also have to stop the invasion. And remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in are taking your jobs.
Project
Mr. President,
2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today.
She wants them out.
Well,
She
there we
wants
go.
him to stop. He's on a high. He's in a positive. He's getting his strength and his momentum back. Kill this story now because she's already gotten her objective. That was the first 5 minutes.
She got her objective. I like that. That's good. Mike, I kept you here for 2.5 hours.
Not so bad. That's about a short show for me.
Yes, it is. So what's the wrap up for this? What's the wrap up? Let me give you my wrap up.
Okay.
Mine is his team screwed him over by not taking this seriously and prepping him more effectively. He didn't do a bad job. Like the press act like he did a terrible job. That's not true. But he really could have done a better job. I think his team dropped the ball. I think it could have made it better. And they didn't. That's my takeaway.
My takeaway is partially yours, a little bit different. Yes, his team could have prepared him better, but he knew he was in hostile territory. He knew he was going to be attacked to some degree. I don't think he envisioned this kind of degree, this openly, blatantly partisan attack from ABC. But he did. It was about an average interview.
Yeah,
quite honestly, about average
yes.
for most politicians. Some good parts, some bad parts, to be fair. But I think the reaction, the media, the propaganda machine kicked in instantly, made this hyper racial, made this about an attack on women and black women. None of that is accurate or fair representation of what this is. And they absolutely will not show or tell people in context what happened, because the context proves them wrong. And I think that's the worst thing about this. This is dividing our nation, and it absolutely should not.
So let me bring up a couple of things I like also. There are 3 people in this race who will go into the lion's den happily.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is one of them.
Yes.
RFK Jr.
Yes.
And Cornel West.
Surprisingly, yes.
Yes. All those guys
he will.
Lion's den. They will go in. They're like, fine, we're going to go in. Whatever. We'll do what we got to do. And I got to be clear, whether I would vote for them or not. Clearly, Cornel West is a Marxist. Clearly, I'm not going to vote for Cornel West, obviously.
Right.
However, I respect his desire to go on Hannity.
Mm-hmm.
I respect he will go into the line. Came to the Libertarian Party.
Yes,
spoke
he
to
did.
the Libertarian Party, right? I mean,
he was at Freedom Fest. He was at Freedom Fest on the stage.
Absolutely. So these 3 guys, RFK Jr. And Trump will go. Trump got booted to LP and didn't even get off the stage. Stayed there.
Stay there. Talk to people all the way through. Mm-hmm.
I got to give it for those 3 guys doing that. I wish more people would do that. So I'm very happy this happened. I wish this was an example for more people.
That's the best part of it, is that, we should be saying, and I think it should be more emphasized, why isn't every other candidate doing this?
Yes.
Go and talk to the people who don't agree with it. It's easy to talk to people who agree. You've been on the
100%.
campaign trail. I've been on the campaign trail. I love talking to people who agree with me. It's easy.
Feels great.
Fantastic. Nothing like people going, you are so right about red flag laws. I want you to be in office. I love that.
Right.
Yeah, but go and talk to the other side. Get those voters and make sure they understand what is the choice. What's the real choice? Very different, very difficult, but I think it's absolutely necessary if you're serious about winning an election. You got to talk to the other side.
So speaking of talking to people, I want to talk to the audience. Guys, did you like this? Then click the like button. That's it. Click it. Click that button that's like. It's free. You just click it. It's good. If you haven't, something's wrong with you. You got a problem with your finger broken? Stop. Click it. Next, if you're watching on Twitter or on X, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. Reshare it right now. Do it if you can. If you're on Facebook, share it. Do it right now if you're on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, you can super chat me if you want to, become a member if you want to, but click that like button no matter what. If you like hearing Michael talk for hours, if you like doing that, you can see him whenever you want. Rumble. Head over to Rumble. Check out No Soundbites Allowed. There's a lot of content, but again, his big show is Sunday, but he does content throughout the week. If you want anything, you can go there and see him whenever you like. So please help us out this way. It does matter, right? It really does matter. Every little bit of these really does matter. Let's see if I grab a couple of these last comments if I could.
Roger's after me. Is Roger after me again? Because Roger's here.
Roger says not liking him shouldn't be an excuse to not be fair. Agreed. 100%. 100%. You are totally correct. I wish more people were thinking that way. Jan says, love when you'll do these videos. Oh, thank you, Jan. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. All right, guys. Anything else before we wrap this up?
I think we've got everything. If I can, I'll mention, yes, Sunday at 2:30 is always my show. It's very big. It's my big show. Take calls, all that. But also, a lot of people don't know on Friday at 9:00, I have a roundtable. Larry, you've been on there before with the Friday roundtable with the Liberty First Foundation. Good guys, great conversation. I do invite people to always check that out whenever you can. I know it's a Friday night, so sometimes people watch it afterwards, but if you can, it'd be nice to give those guys some support too. I like supporting everybody I can, everyone who's got a good voice and allows for conversations. Like Monday, Larry, Sharpe Club coming back.
That's
About
true.
time. I've been
Monday
yelling at him
nights,
about
9
it.
p.m. Sharpe Club is coming back. Absolutely.
I've been
Yes.
yelling at him for a while now, telling him, get back,
It's
do it,
true.
do it, do it.
He's right.
He's
It's
doing
true.
it.
So I'm back to action. I'm doing it again. I will be here Sunday night at 9. And tomorrow I will be doing a 7 o'clock show. It's an AMA asking about, do you care about the Olympics? A lot of controversy there. If you care about it, let me know. So I'll see you tomorrow. You can see Mike tonight at 9, me tomorrow at 7. You can see Mike again on Sunday at 2:30. You can see me again on Monday at 9 p.m. I will see you all very soon.
Better than Disney. There you go.